Baby, check and see if what my volume sound like. You can hear me real good in here? Check and see what my volume sound like. What you say? Okay, okay. All right. All right, all right, all right. Give me 1 minute, y'all. I was trying to check my volume. Hold on. All right. I'll be back in just 1 moment.
When I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, the black, and the green around me. For in the new life I shall rise up with God's grace and blessing to lead the millions of the heights and the triumph that you well know. Look for me in a world when there is storm. Look for me all around you. For in God's grace I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life.
This country wasn't made for a black man, so I gotta hustle, gotta grind with my black hands. I got plans to build our own black land, from the black belt to the Caribbean with black sand. Back to Africa, police will capture you if you speak of revolution, so they always after us. Peace to Matulu and Assata Shakur. Free political prisoners and prisoners of war. It's all forms of oppression. We gotta learn our lesson from Black Panthers and Mexicans. It's for our own protection to unite. The president won't give a shit, it's gonna be a fight. He flying over New Orleans avoiding our plight. But they can give us crack. What the fuck is that? Is it a fact that Bush don't give a fuck about blacks? But he can't, cause we don't give a fuck about ourselves. Please believe it's time to get something else. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. Black power, black power, black power, black power. Let me hear ya holler, black power. Let me hear ya holler, black power. Man, I got on black clothes and got a black mask with a black strap representing for my black flag. Black studies, black knowledge for a black class. Trying to teach a couple black lessons to your black ass. I'm like that L Dash, gotta make some black decisions, cause it's clear to see that it's way too many blacks in prison. It's a massive killing, call it a genocide. So I'ma praise the Most High and I'ma stand and stay alive. This is 08 Black Power, the new millennium. B.I.G. I'm like a black tower, Statue of Liberty. You thought that you'd be killing me, but it'll be the whole black nation who remember me. This resurrection is considered a blessing for complete black power and sexist suppression. Cause the black woman is precious, not just for sexing. No, this ain't lame, this is real, don't second guess it. I've been young, now I'm young and a veteran, but I'm still growing, still trying to be a better man. A new direction where I'm headed in, trying to take my black nation to a higher level than it's ever been. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. When our friends turn to cowards and bullets come in showers, I'ma stand and never bow until they holler black power. Black power, black power, black power, black power. Let me hear ya holler, black power. Let me hear ya holler, black power, man.
Peace, 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 peace. Black African power. Man, feels good to be back on the Mossy. I've been gone for a while, man. So this is my return show, man, of 2026. Please like and share the show. Please like and share the show, with those who you think that may appreciate the information. Again, share it to those who you think may appreciate this information, man. I'm gonna get straight into it, man. I'm gonna share my screen, man, and we gonna get started, man. We gonna get started, man. Let me share my screen. Y'all can hear me pretty good though. Let me know if my volume real good before I even start sharing my screen. Somebody type in chat, man, if my volume is good, my volume is okay. And peace to Vasa and Chavis and Infinite Minds and Kyle Pretty One. I can hear you clearly. I appreciate it. African Centered Life. That's all I see in here, man. But if you're in here, man, please speak, man. Leave your name, where you're from, man. And yeah, we good. Okay. Well, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it, man. Let me share my screen. All right. Y'all let me know if y'all can see my screen good. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna blow it up. You can see. Hold on. Did it stop sharing? I'm looking on this end. I think it done stopped sharing. Hold on. Go back out. I'll just do it like this. Y'all give me 1 second, man. It done stopped sharing. All right, let's do it again. Share. Entire screen. I don't think it's gonna let me do the enlarging size. I think that's what the problem was. Let's go back over here. All right. All right, I'm gonna just keep it like that. Every time I try to enlarge it, hopefully y'all can see it pretty good. Let me turn my chats on this side so I can see everything, man. Yeah, bro. All right, so y'all can see that. Let me know if y'all can see that in the chat. Let me know if y'all can see the PowerPoint so I can get started. I don't want to hold y'all tonight. I got a lot of information I want to kind of go through. Let's go. Yeah, I missed the presentations too, man. I missed it too, man. Let me know, man. Somebody say yes, man, if y'all can see the PowerPoint so we can get started. I don't want to hold y'all too long. All right. Yes, sir. Well, let's get into it. All right. So the name of this today's show PowerPoint is what is Pan-Africanism, right? A brief history lesson, FBA response responding to the FBA. Last week, y'all know Sean, Dr. Asar Imhotep, and Ben did a discussion on FBA. I checked it out, and just going through the comments, this is what made me want to come back and do a presentation on Pan-Africanism, right? So doing that and me looking in the comments, there was a lot of FBA people in the chat. And you know, they were saying things about Pan-Africanism. So I kept asking, what is Pan-Africanism? What is Pan-Africanism? You know, and they couldn't give me an answer or an answer really at all. You know, and they was making statements that we didn't use the word Africa over here. And we're gonna show that today too. Pan-Africanism wasn't in Africa, you know, and there was some other statements, you know what I'm saying, that they was making, man. So I was like, man, well, let me come on and do a presentation and clear up. Were we talking about, were we saying we was African, or what that word used over here in the United States? Was Pan-Africanism in Africa? You know what I'm saying? And there was some other statements. I was gonna try to go through this comments today, man. I just didn't have a chance, but those was quite a few of the ones that I heard. So, you know, I wanted to drop this presentation. So let's get into it, man. You know me, when I do a presentation, I always have to give a disclaimer. My disclaimer is I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. and that information provided is for the educational purpose only. If you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation, shut down, sell, or exchange the terms or use at my own discretion. Our trademark, design rights, copyrights, registered names, mottos, logos, avatars, or sigmas and marks are used or cited by this channel or the property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available and or adapt or change or improve information as it becomes available in the future. Input wanted, changes, additions, and deletions are encouraged. I always want to give a disclaimer before I get started on anything, man. So before I discuss Pan-Africanism, I must discuss Ethioism. But let's first look at a few men associated with Ethioism, like Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, Reverend James Dwayne, and Magina McConaughey. This is going to be very important, y'all. I want y'all to kind of like pay attention, right? Because some people were saying that they didn't know what Ethioism is, right? So before we can talk about Pan-Africanism, we got to talk about Ethiopism, right? So I'm going to kind of go through the historical record, right? And talk about some of these figures and then go into what Ethiopism is, you know what I'm saying? The ideology of it, some of the forerunners, because my statement is there will be no Pan-Africanism without Ethiopism, right? And I want to say that again, there will be no Pan-Africanism without Ethiopism. So we're going to walk through it before we get to Pan-Africanism, and then we'll get into Pan-Africanism and discuss what it is, right? So these are my sources. I'll come back later on and at the end of the thing and show you the sources. You can go through my sources. I have no problem with you combing and going through my sources. I have no problem with you going through this video, right? So my outline is the purpose of this presentation, why Ethiopism comes first, what is Ethiopism, key Ethiops figures in the U.S., Ethiopism in South Africa, why Ethiopia became a symbol. Did W.E.B. Du Bois coin Pan-Africanism? What is Pan-Africanism? The 19th century Pan-African thought, 20th century shift, intellectual forerunners, Henry Sylvester Williams, Pan-African Conference and Congress, Marcus Garvey, and the mass Pan-Africanism. Organizations of Africa Unity, key takeaways, and my closing thoughts, right? So let's get into it. All right, so first, like I said, I want to kind of get into some of the key figures, right? So Richard Allen, right? So we're going to walk through again. Before we get to Pan-Africanism, we must talk about Ethiopism, right? So I want to talk about some of the forerunners. So I want to try to comb through this stuff so we can see how we got to Pan-Africanism and who was some of the forerunners of Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africanism thought, and who sparked the thought for Pan-Africanism with this movement, the Ethiopian ism movement. So first, let's go through this first. So Richard Allen. So Richard Allen was born on February the 4th, 1760, enslaved to Benjamin Chew, a Quaker, a lawyer of Philadelphia. As a child, he was sold to Stokely Surgeon, a plantation owner in Dover, Delaware, which Allen taught himself to read and write. Allen owner was involved in the Methodist Church and permitted his slaves to attend their service. Allen was also drawn to the church and began to evangelize as a teenager while still enslaved. In 1780, he bought his freedom at the cost of $2,000, approximately $36,364 in modern day US dollars, by working on his own time over a period of 5 years. He continued his involvement with the church, and in 1786, he became a preacher of St. George Methodist Church, but was only permitted to conduct segregated sermons. The frustration of segregation and further racial detention led Allen and more than 40 others to leave St. George. So I want y'all to keep that in mind as too. You know what I'm saying? Richard Allen became a preacher in the Methodist Church, but he was everyone Black was approached with segregation, and there was a lot of racial tension. So it caused Richard Allen and someone else to leave St. George and form, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay, Absalom Jones, right? It's another forerunner that that we have to talk about. We got to talk about these individuals before we go further into the presentation. Absalom Jones. Absalom Jones was born into slavery in Sussex, Delaware in 1746. He taught himself to read in early teens from books he purchased from saving pennies given him by visitors to his master's home. At the age of 16, Jones' family was separated when he was immediately family members were sold, and he was taken to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania by his new owners. Jones worked as a clerk in his owner's store by day and was allowed to work for himself and attend an all-black school at night. In 1770, Jones married a fellow woman slave, and through his hard work and his help of friends and father-in-law, he was able to buy his wife freedom. Jones saved enough to purchase his own freedom in 1784. He was an active member of St. George Methodist Episcopal Church in Philadelphia, the same church that Richard Allen was also involved with before he left, because they were met with segregation and racial tension, right? So he served as lay preacher for the Black membership of the congregation. In 1786, Richard Allen joined Jones at a church, and their further forever was intertwined. The Black membership of the St. John Church increased. Well, I'm not going to go too much into that, but y'all got the gist of he was also involved in the church and was met. He was one of the 40 to 50 members who left the Methodist Church. Absalom Jones established the African Episcopal Church in St. Thomas in 1792 and became the first African-American ordained priest. But first, Richard Allen, this individual here, I'll go back real quick. Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, they were the first two individuals to spark the independent Black churches. They were the first in the United States to develop their own independent Black churches in the beginning. So just keep that in mind as well, right? In 1787, Richard Allen and Absalom Jones established the Free African Society. Okay, boom. Let's stop right there. There was a statement or a claim that was made that we never used the term African here in the United States. That term back in the days, we did not use the term African, right? So right here in 1787, Richard Allen and Absalom Jones established the Free African Society, right? This civic organization drew freemen, freedom seekers, and Haitian refuge. They assisted people in finding work and homes that provided literature and financial education and assistance to community projects. One such event that employed members of the FAC, which is the Free African Society, was a yellow fever epidemic. Doctors pumped a falsehood that African Americans could not contract an illness, and the FAC members were hired as nurses, collected human remains, and buried them for the cities of Philadelphia. Many of them died of an illness. You can find this in the narrative proceedings of Black people, awful calamities in Philadelphia. This is where I got extracted this information from, right? You can get this from this book, right? While they remained friends and colleagues, Allen and Jones parted religiously. Absalom established the African Episcopal Church at St. Thomas in 1792 and became the first African-American ordained priest. Allen built the Mother Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in 1793, right? And the origin of the church was demolished and replaced with the red bricking building in 1805 and was completed in 1806. A tunnel was constructed to connect the arc of the streets Friends meeting houses that became the Underground Railroad. I'm gonna read that again. In 1805, it was completed. It was completed in 1890. A tunnel was constructed to connect to the Ark Street Friends Meeting House. This became the Underground Railroad. So he was also involved in the Underground Railroad. It says that Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, again, those was the first two to create an independent black church in the United States. They formed the Free African Society. This was a civic organization that drew freedmen, freedom seekers, and also Haitian refuge. It says that they parted ways. They parted ways because Richard Allen wanted to continue to associate himself with the Methodist Church, and Absalom wanted to establish and associate himself with the Episcopal Church. So you had the Bethlehem Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church, which Richard Allen, and then you had the church by Absalom Jones, the African Episcopal Church of St. Thomas, right? So now we have to get into Magina McConey, right? These are some of the individuals, again, that we must talk about before we go any further into the presentation or before we even get to Pan-Africanism, right? So keep these individuals in mind, right? And if you don't know who these individuals are, please go back and look up the contributions that these individuals made that spark the ideology, that spark the thought of Pan-Africanism, right? So Magina McConey was born in Treville in 1860. McCone worked in a sugar plantation in Natal. He later moved into the city of Durban, where he worked as a laborer during the day. We're talking about, this is in South Africa now. I'm giving you people in South Africa now. We talked about the people in the United States, right? Now we got to talk about the people in Africa, and we're going to talk about the South, because you got to keep these people in mind. Now we in South Africa, right? We was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now we all the way in South Africa, right? Labored while attending night schools. In 1874, he was baptized as a Christian. The following year, he began to theological studies and I ain't even finna try to pronounce that word. But he studied there for 5 years, at the end of which he was appointed as a preacher circuit of the Wesleyan Methodist Church in Natal. In 1882, he was posted as praetor, where he was to play a key role in the founding of the Colonel Training Institution, a secondary and post-secondary institution for the training of African males and female youth. On November the 1st, 1892, Reverend McCone, then an elder of the Wesley Methodist Church of Pretoria, served his connections with the denomination. The cause for this action dated back over a period of 6 years. Up until the 1886, the white and African ministers of Wesley Methodist Church had met together in their distinct meetings. In that year, the color line was drawn and each side was required to meet apart from the other. Yet the black ministers was compelled to have the white chairman as a secretary. So they're going through the same thing now that Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, and the 50 other black people that was a part of the St. George Wesley Church, they was met with segregation and racial tension. Now, this is happening now in South Africa, right? With McCone. McCone resented this practice, and when no action was taken to correct the situation, he organized a new church, the Ethiopian Church, with about 50 members in Pretoria on Sunday, November the 20th, 1892. The name of the church was a biblical reference. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. Psalm 68, verse 31. The first meeting was held in the Marabasta native location in an old thatch house belonging to William Macondo, who, although a Wesley minister, was in great sympathy with the Ethiopian church movement. So Magene McCone does the same thing that Richard Allen does. He started the Black Methodist AME Church, and the same thing that Absalom did by his African Episcopal Church, right? He formed his own church, the Ethiopian Church, after being met with racism and segregation. Just keep these things in mind. I want y'all to just keep all of these things in line that I'm talking about, because this all is going to tie into what I'm trying to do, and it's all going to make sense. Now, the next figure is James M. Dwayne. James M. Dwayne was born in Camelstone near Wesley, Eastern Cape in 1848. He was educated and later taught as a Helltown Methodist Missionary Institution. At the marriage of 19, he decided to start a school in a nearly village and enrolled 60 learners who have taught and all have learned. He then left for further education and a formal teaching training at Helltown Methodist Missionary Institution, where he later served as a teacher. During this time, he became painfully aware of the differences and the quality between white and black education. Originally a leader of Westminster Church, Dwayne opposed a racial segregation. He found practices within the white-controlled church. He had also quarreled with the Wesley authorities over the expedition of the funds he had raised for the church during his visit to England. He resigned from Wesley Church in 1892, and with others dissatisfied church members proceeded to establish the Ethiopian church. So he went. So you're seeing the similarities that's happening. The same similarities that is happening over here in the United States in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is now happening in South Africa with James M. Dwayne and our brother Magene McCone, right? In the formation of now the Ethiopian church, right? Because of segregation and racism, right? Only Dwayne, however, was able to, okay, let me go back to here. An eloquent speaker of Reverend Dwayne became interest in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Reverend Dwayne heard about the African Methodist Episcopal AME Church all the way in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania from South Africa, which had been founded by Afro-Americans in the United States in 1816. He decided at the conference of all independent churches leaders to held in Pretoria in 1896 that Reverend Dwayne and two other African church ones, of whom was Magene McCone, should go to the United States to obtain affiliation with the AME church. So now these brothers in South Africa want to be affiliated with these individuals who took a stand against racism and segregation in a church and forming their own independent churches, right? And coming up, we're going to get into all of this other stuff in a minute. Now they are doing the same thing in South Africa. They're hearing about what's going on in Pennsylvania, and now they want to align with the African Methodist Episcopal Church, right? Only Dwayne, however, was able to raise the funds for the journey. He sailed to Philadelphia in 1896. Dwayne presented his case well in America, and the Ethiopian Church of South Africa was formally incorporated in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Before his return to Africa, Dwayne was appointed general superintendent of the South African member church. Back home from the successful mission, Dwayne succeeded to persuade all of the leaders of the Ethiopian church movement to follow him to the AME fold. In addition, his church was granted recognition by the government of Travail. What is the Ethiopian movement, right? The Ethiopian movement was a significant Afro-Atlantic religion and cultural tradition started in the late 18th century that asserted African pride. Remember that. Inserted African pride and self-rule, linking black people to ancient Ethiopia as a symbol of a glorious African past, challenging colonial narratives. It fueled the creation of the independent African church and the movement, prompting cultural and political autonomy under the banner of Africans for Africans. I know y'all heard the term Africans for Africans. We're going to get into that because we believe that one person that popularized this, he popularized this. He was not the one who coined this phrase, right? Well, they say that Marcus Garvey, I say, we heard this term a lot. I know I heard this term a lot from Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey popularized the term, but Marcus Garvey did not coin the phrase Africans for Africans. We'll get into that later on. But this ideology was also used in the Ethiopian movement, influencing Pan-Africanism, Black consciousness, and African independent church by emphasizing Black capacity for self-government and spiritual worth rooted in biblical reference, like Psalm 68 and 31. Again, the Ethiopian movement is particular to what we are the forerunners of today, right? And that is African pride, right? And Africans for Africans when we talk about the Pan-African movement, right? Or Pan-Africanism, right? But this influenced Pan-Africanism, Black consciousness, and Black independence. The core beliefs and goals: historical pride, reclaiming African history, emphasizing Ethiopia as one of the world's oldest civilizations, countering the Eurocentric ideal of historyless Africa. Religious autonomy, South African-led Christianity, free from colonial mission church discrimination leading to secession churches. Self-rule, promoting Africa for the Africans, fostering political and cultural independence. Biblical basics, drew inspiration from Psalm 68:31. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God to affirm Black people's place in God's plan. Key manifestations: the United States found expressions in slave narratives, folklores, and sermons, providing spiritual strength and identity. Southern Africa, 1800 onward, saw the rise in independent churches like the Ethiopia Church in 1892, led by figures like Magina Macon, challenging racial barriers in missions. West Africa influenced religious colors, African nationalism, with thinkers like E.D. Biden. Broader impacts laid groundwork for modern African nationalism, African independent churches, Black theology, and Pan-Africanism. Reason why Ethiopians was attracted at that time, right? So let's talk about why it was attracted, because we know even some of the forerunners like Delaney, like Garvey, right? They also was fascinated with Ethiopia. They also referred and talked about Ethiopia, the country in Africa. They talked about it. They referred to this, right? They was attracted to this also as well. So the reason why everybody at this particular time during the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th century, why was Ethiopia so important? Why were people drawing to Ethiopia? Even South Africa was drawing to Ethiopia. The people in the United States was drawing to Ethiopia. Our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean was drawing to Ethiopia. So what was the reason why everybody wanted to draw to Ethiopia and then form a movement called Ethiopianism? because they was inspired by the country and what was going on in Ethiopia. All right. So first, Ethiopia in Europe literature where Homer blames Ethiopians, written in the 8th and 17th century BC, Ethiopia, thy land of our fathers. The legendary Homer praised Ethiopian in both his main works and the Iliad. Zeus himself went to feast with the Ethiopians, lorderly men, and all of the gods went with him. And in the Odyssey, Poseidon was just returning home from his Ethiopian friends. Thus, Homer alludes that the blameless Ethiopians into Ethiopia as a favorite of the gods, testifying the respect which ancient Greeks and famed founders of Europe's civilization eventually had for black power, and therefore fueled the impact of the Greek mythology. About 300 years after Homer, Herodotus described Ethiopia as the tallest and most handsome men on earth. And in the 1st century BC, Diodorus Siculus expound the view that many Egyptians' institutions was derivative of Ethiopia's civilizations, which significant became ancient Egypt was the only African civilization widely respected by European colonists who therefore tried to claim themselves. The Battle of Adwa, the Ethiopian defeated Italy, right? Italy tried to colonize Ethiopia. So if you don't know about the Battle of Adwa, look it up and I'll get the book. I also wrote a chapter in the group, Kofi Piche Research Team. We put out many different books, and I think that's in the book. Damn, we done put out so many books. I can't think. It's in volume 5 where I discuss and go through the Battle of Adwa. Ethiopia is the famously known as one of the only African nations never colonized by European powers, right? So this is the reason why these forerunners and some of the progenitors of Pan-Africanism look toward Ethiopia because of the writings of Homer describing, describing Ethiopia as the place of the gods. This was the favorite place for the gods to go to. These men and women was loyal and loyally men and women and God sent. And Herodotus talked about how tall and how handsome the men and the women were on earth in Ethiopia. And Diodorus also talking about it being a derivative of Ethiopia, which most people, when we look through the historical records, say that they are the progenitors of the nation of Egypt, right? So through those writings, and then the Battle of Adwa, these Ethiopians defeating the Italians who tried to colonize Ethiopia. So they defeated them, right? And Ethiopia never really been colonized like every other African country, right? Ethiopianism provided a powerful narrative of dignity and self-determination, deeply influenced Black identity and resistant movement across the diaspora and the continent. I want to read that again. The Ethiopianism provided a power narrative of dignity and self-determination, deeply influencing Black identity, resistant movement across the diaspora and the continent. W.E.B. Du Bois, right? Shout out to Oba Wajumi. He reposted, and shout out to damn, I'm losing the train of thought already. But shout out to that brother. He when he reposted the fly, and it was a brother in there who and other people share the same sentiment when we talk about W. Du Bois. Some people like W. Du Bois, some people don't like W. Du Bois, right? We know Marcus Garvey. A lot of us are Garveyites. We love Garvey. We love the movement. right? And we know Marcus Garvey and D. Du Bois was in Oz, and W.E.B. Du Bois did not support those conferences. Not W. Du Bois, but Marcus Garvey did not support those conferences that W.E.B. Du Bois had, right? But whether you like W. Du Bois or not, right? He is one of the forerunners. You have to acknowledge him, whether you like him or you don't like him. You definitely have to acknowledge him, right? You know what I'm saying? You cannot mention Pan-Africanism without mentioning this brother. You can't even mention Ethiopianism without mentioning this brother, right? So W.E.B. Du Bois was an African-American who had studied as an undergrad at Harvard with the philosopher William James. But in 1892, Du Bois had gone to graduate at the Frederick Wilhelm University in Berlin, and was therefore thoroughly familiar with the intellectual tradition and modern European nationalism, as well as a philosophical tradition that began with Herder, right? Did W.D. Du Bois coin the phrase Pan-Africanism? You know, some people are saying that he coined the phrase, some people saying that he didn't coin the phrase. So I'm throwing that question out there. Did W.E. Du Bois coin the phrase Pan-Africanism? Let's get into it. Did he? It is safe to say that W.E. Du Bois in 1868 to 1963, who was created with having coined the term Pan-Negroism. He coined the phrase Pan-Negroism in 1897 that consequently developed into Pan-Africanism no later than the first Pan-African Conference in 1900s. So let me start right there. So he coined the term Pan-Negroism, which consequently developed later, right, into Pan-Africanism. And they say that this Pan-Africanism was developed, and we're going to talk about the conference in a minute, the Pan-African Conference in 1900. But also through the historical data, they said that it matter was coined in 1899. So you had a pre-conference in 1899, the Pan-African Conference, the pre-conference. Then you had the big conference in 1900. So it was coined, this phrase Pan-Africanism was coined between 1899 and 1900. Keep that in mind. Was an Ethiopian. So W.E. Du Bois was also a part of the Ethiopian movement. They call them Ethiopians of the 19th century. The type of Ethiopianism where Western and biblical mythology coincide. Du Bois used Greek etymology to define Ethiopia as the land of the burnt face, and also quoted Herodotus. So they was pulling, that's what I'm saying, they was these readings that they was reading from Diodorus and Homer and Herodotus. They was reading these things and then looking and seeing what was taking place in Ethiopia. So these men was drawing strength from Ethiopia, right? And the people in Ethiopia, right? You know, before him, Edwin William Bine, 1933, had looked for references to Ethiopia in the works of Greeks authors. Both quoted Homer, Iliad on the blameless Ethiopia among whom God's love to be. Yet to be were also steeped in biblical Ethiopianism. In 1882, Bine gave a lecture in the American Colonization Society, and we're going to talk about Bine in a minute. Ethiopian stretched out her hands unto God, which is, of course, a reference of Psalm 68. So they was also they kept pulling from that biblical verse. Okay, so this is W.E. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Edward Bine. W.E. Du Bois and Edward Wilmot Bine and Marcus Garvey followed Ethiopianism, understanding African as inherently black, since Africa was conceived as Ethiopia, land of the burnt faces. So these guys were heavily influenced by Ethiopianism, and they was Ethiopians was practitioners. They was a part of the movement. They also drawn from Ethiopia, from not being colonized, from winning the Battle of Adwa, reading those Greeks literature from Herodotus, and Homer, right? So there you have it with those. I have to talk about these guys. We got to talk about these guys. We got to talk about the Ethiopian movement before we talk about Pan-Africanism, y'all. We got to establish, right, where the Pan-African come from, right? So it had to be sparked from something, and it had to be sparked from some individuals, and some individuals had to be sparked or drawn by some type of ideology or movement, which was sparked by the first resistance from Richard Allen, Absalom Jones in Pennsylvania. Then it was sparked by the resistance from who? Magina McCone and James Reverend James, I can't think of the, let's go back because I want to make sure we get this. James Dwayne, right? James Dwayne in South Africa, right? And these individuals also reaching back to Africa. You know, Richard Allen and Absalom named, their first society. What was the name of their first society that they named? Right here, Free African Society, right? This was in 1787. Then they created their African Methodist Episcopal Church, right? They was joined to Ethiopia. South America was joined toward Ethiopia with the Ethiopian Church that was established by Magene Makundi, and then you following up by James M. Dwayne, who came. So we got to talk about these first people who sparked the resistance and sparked having self-pride and drawing back to Africa and aligning with other Africans globally, right? So we had to talk about James Dwayne. We had to talk about Magene McCall. We had to talk about Absalom Jones. We got to talk about Richard Allen. And then we got to talk about them influencing the W.E.D. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Edward Blaine. We have to talk about this first before we even talk about Pan-Africanism. Now, what is the concept of Pan-Africanism? What is the concept of Pan-Africanism? Pan-Africanism, the ideal that people of African descent have common interests and should be unified. Historically, Pan-Africanism has often taken the shape of a political and cultural movement. There are many varieties of Pan-Africanism. In its most straightforward version, Pan-Africanism is the political project calling for the unification of all, and that's all it is. Pan means all, the unification of all Africans into a single African state to which those in the African diaspora can return, right? In its vaguer and more cultural form, Pan-Africanism has pursued literature and artistic projects that bring together people in Africa and her diaspora, right? So it is the unification of all African people into a single African state, right? So we're pushing Pan-Africanism. We're trying to unite Africans globally, right? So we can resolve our own problems, whether they're socially, politically, economically, educational, and so forth. We are for Africans worldwide, right? The unification of us, right? Us building us up, us building by us, for us. 19th century. The Pan-Africanist movement began in the 19th century among intellectuals of African descent in North America and the Caribbean, who taught themselves they members of the single Negro race. In this, we were merely followed by the mainstream of the 19th century through in North America and in Europe, which developed into increasingly strong focus of an ideal that human beings were divided into races, each of which had its own distinctive spiritual, physical, and cultural character, each of which had its own cultural character. As a result, the earliest Pan-Africanists often limited their focus to sub-Saharan Africa, to the region that is, whose population consists mostly of darker skin, or as the world have said, Negro people. 20th century. In the 20th century, however, this way of thinking of African identity in racial terms challenges in particular, the intellectual born in Africa who took over the movement leaderships in a period of the after the World War II developed as more geographical ideal of African unity. The founders of the Organization of Africa Unity, such as Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt and Kwame Ture of Ghana, for example, had a notion of Africa that was more straightforward, continental. So stopping right there again, just going and moving back and forth. Like they was making a statement that we never used the term Africa here. Africa, Africans don't know anything about Pan-Africanism, which Pan-Africanism is the unification of all Africans worldwide, globally. So we see right here the Organization for African Unity. We see the Ethiopian Church affiliating themselves with the Richard Allen and Absalom Jones and his church, traveling from South Africa to Pennsylvania to affiliate himself with these Africans who first caused the resistance from meeting segregation and racism, you know what I'm saying, and now resisting and pushing back and creating their own thing. And within that thing is self-pride, right? And determination and Africans for Africans worldwide, right? This ideology that they're preaching through their core values, you know what I'm saying? Their philosophies and their ideology, right? Quick info about the AOU, you know what I'm saying? The African Organization Unity, 1963 to 23 was Alliance of Independent African Nations working to enhance cooperation between newly decolonized African governments. The alliance had its basic in Pan-Africanism. Philosophical, encouraging the unity of all people of African ancestry, but it also was inspired by ongoing independent struggles as various African nations freed themselves from Europe colonial rule in early 1960s. On May 25th, 1963, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie invited the heads of the 32 independent African nations at the time to convene at his country capital, Addis Ababa. The results of the conference was the formation of the AOU, which would grow its membership to include 54 to 55 African states as members. Morocco was the only state to decline. We probably know why Morocco was the only state that to decline too. Hold on, let me see. All right, the AOU basic principles include promotion of solidarity among African states, improving quality of life for Africans, and a promise to defend the sovereignty of African states, the eradication of colonialism in its form. The AOU hoped to achieve these goals through cooperation and peaceful negotiation between its members. Nevertheless, the movement intellectual roots lie firmly in racial understanding of Africa and the thoughts of African Americans and Afro-Caribbean intellectuals who founded it. Because Africanism began as a movement in the New World among descendants of slaves and then spread it back to Africa. But they said Pan-Africanism was not in Africa. They don't know anything about Pan-Africanism in Africa. I agree. The movement was started here, but then it spread it back. And then we had some of our influencers who also went back into Africa, right, to spread Pan-Africanism. So again, it said because Pan-Africanism began as a movement in the New World among the descendants of slaves population and then spread it back to Africa. It aimed to challenge anti-Black racism on two fronts. On one hand, it opposed racial denomination in the diaspora. And on others, it challenged colonial denomination, which almost took a racial form in Africa itself. Black intellectual forerunners of Pan-Africanism. Perhaps the most important Black intellectual forerunners of Pan-Africanism were three men who addressed themselves to this situation. that was our beloved brother, Martin Delaney, Alexander Cromwell, an individual who I align myself with his teachings and what he did in the 19th century. Edward William Bine, right? These are the forerunners. So I had to give you the forerunners of Ethiopianism, or the Ethiopianism movement, which was Absalom Jones, Richard Allen, Magina McConey, James Dwayne, and then W.E.D. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Edward Blind, who was also a part of the Ethiopian movement. But then Edward Blind also became a forerunner for Pan-Africanism. Then we got Alexander Cromwell, who became a forerunner of Pan-Africanism. And our beloved brother, Marcus Delaney, who became a forerunner of Pan-Africanism. So we must talk about these individuals who sparked these movements, right? Marcus Delaney was born in southern United States, and his family moved to Pennsylvania during the youth. He began medical education in Harvard, but was forced to leave because the white students would not work alongside him. Delaney contributed to prehistory Pan-Africanism. Delaney contributed to the prehistory of Pan-Africanism, began with his own sense of profound connection with Africa. He was proud that he was a full-blooded Negro, and he named his children for, among others, Toussaint Levant, the black leaders of Haitian Revolution, Ramesses II, the pharaoh of what we would say in the Remish language, the Kemetu language, the Nasut Biti of Kemet, and Alexandre Dumas, the French novelist who had African ancestry. Martin Delaney been credited with Pan-African slogan, Africans for Africans. So they saying that it was Martin Delaney who coined the phrase African for Africans. And then Marcus Garvey, the motto had also been widely used in South Africa, Ethiopianism, in the late 19th century. And this was something that this was also a motto for the Ethiopianism movement that I had to talk about before we get to Pan-Africanism. Africans for Africans, right? And then Marcus Garvey took it and he championed it and popularized it. And a lot of people think Marcus Garvey was the one who coined the phrase, but Marcus Delaney was the one coined the phrase African for Africans. And it was also used in South Africa amongst our brother Magina McCone, as well as Jane Martin and others in the Ethiopia church and others in the diaspora, as well as in other countries in Africa who had this Ethiopianism movement, right? Marcus Garvey championed it in 1920, apparently brought to South Africa by the English missionary Joseph Booth. Not gonna go no further. Y'all can read more into that if y'all want to read more into that. Delaney did not make an obvious suggestion that blacks should return to Africa. We know the Back to Africa movement, was championed more or less by our beloved brother Marcus Garvey, the Messiah Marcus Garvey. This was not because he was against the ideal, but because along with other leaders of the re-immigration movement, he believed that most African Americans convinced by the anti-Negro propaganda were likely to see Africans as a very unattractive place to live, right? And even during this time, right, I talk about this in one of my books. I talk about the investigators. I talk about how over here in the United States, people hadn't even set foot in Africa. The news media outlets that was printing these newspapers was writing negative connotations about Africa and Africa culture without even setting foot. Then you had the explorers and the investigators to go into Africa and seeing the marvelous of Africa and was amazed by the things that was going in Africa, but was also pushing propaganda that Africa was backwards. We was heathens. We was unintelligent, right? Pushing propaganda. So he understood that a lot of the people, even now, We still understand that. I talk to people who still have a disdain for Africa, never set foot in Africa, never read any literature of Africa, never read about none of the movements, none of our heroes, what we established, what we have done, what was taken, what our ancestors contributed to the world, right? Never read none of these things, but still have a disdain for Africa because they have bought into the propaganda of these news media outlets, whether it's printed on paper or whether it's on the commercials. I knew when I was growing up, there was commercial after commercial at nighttime of Africa painted in a negative light to try to to try to keep us from attaching ourselves to Africa and our heritage, right? Alex Cromwell, right? Like I said, this guy here, y'all, I know y'all probably heard me talk about him in the past. Dang, me pick my leg up. Talk about him so much, man. I talk about this guy so much because I organize myself around and I implement his ideals as well as the other individuals' ideals around my company, around my organization, around my nonprofit organization. You know what I'm saying? He was very influential to me as well as these other brothers, but he definitely is like one of my favorite. Alex Cromwell was born in New York and studied in Cambridge University in England. He was the first African-American to do so and was ordained and angelic clergyman. He was also the first African-American intellectual to spend a significant amount of time in Liberia. When Delaney visited the country in 1859, he met Cromwell, who by then had been there for 2 decades. In The Future of Africa in 1862, a collection of essays and lectures written while he was, in Liberia. Cromwell developed a vision of Africa as the motherland of the Negro race. Alexander Cromwell is also the founder of the American Negro Academy. You hear us talk about that a lot. You heard Sean talk about it a lot. My brother Sean, Innie Sean Calfani, who's also a part of Mossy, talked about the American Negro Academy. You heard me talk about the American Negro Academy, founded by Alex Cromwell. The American Negro Academy was organized by Black intellectuals who, through their scholarship and writings, were dedicated to promotion of higher education, arts, and science for African Americans as part of the overall struggles of racial equality. So I have a phrase called, as I learn, we all learn, right? Have a clothing line called, as I learn, we all learn, right? And that is a spinoff of Each One Teach One, which Alex Cromwell, such as the likes of W.E.B. Du Bois, who was also a member, Carter G. Wilson, who was also a member, Paul Dunbar, who was also a member, Edwin Blind, who was also a member of the American Negro Academy, and other great minds who was also members of the American Negro Academy, understood that they had to go back because they think that the only way that Blacks was able to come out of the plights that they was in was through education, arts, and science. So it was their duties to learn, to go to school, because at that time, we know that it wasn't that many Black people into the universities or even going to school or being rejected for going to school. So when you acquire a higher education, higher learning, their duties was to go back into their communities and promote higher education. Each one teach one, which spun off my phrase, as I learn, we all learn. Edward Blind was born in the West Indies, but traveled to Liberia in 1850 under the auspice of the American Colonization Society, becoming a citizen of that country for the rest of his life. Like Cromwell, he was a priest, and as was seen, they worked together in early days in the universities of Liberia. Biden spoke many languages. His essays include quotations in the original language from the Dante and the Virgil, and his studies Arabic in order to teach it at Liberia College. Later, he became the Liberian ambassador by Queen Victoria. Who is Henry Sylvester Williams, and what he has to do with Pan-Africanism? Henry Sylvester Williams, March 1867, or the 15th of February 1869 through the 26th of March 1911, was a Trinidadian lawyer, activist, counselor, and writer who was among the founders of the Pan-African movement. As a young man, William traveled to the United States and Canada to further his education before subsequently moving to England, where he founded the African Association. Now that word African go again. In 1897, to promote and protest the interests of all subjects claiming African descendants, wholly or in parts, in British colonies and other places, especially Africa, by circulating accurate information on all subjects affecting their rights and privileges as subjects of the British Empire, by direct appeal to the imperial and local government. Pan-African Conference. Pan-Africanism is an intellectual movement began with the work of Du Bois, Delaney, Cromwell, and Biden. But the institutional history started with Henry Sylvester Williams. One more time. Pan-Africanism as an intellectual movement began with the works of Du Bois, Delaney, Cromwell, and Biden. But its institutional history started with Henry Sylvester Williams, a London barrister born in Trinidad. He planned to bring together people of the African race from around the world in 1897, and in July 1900, after the preliminary conference in 1899. So in 1899, there was a preliminary conference. This is where the Pan-Africanism was properly coined. They saying between the preliminary conference and 1900 when Pan-Africanism was coined. But we know W.E. Du Bois coined the word Pan-Negro. He didn't point Pan-Negroism. And we can see that through his writings. But the word Pan-Africanism wasn't coined until 1899 or 1900, when we started to see it in the historical data record. Such as gatherings took place in London. The actual word Pan-Africanism seems to have been coined either in the Pan-African Conference or at the earlier planning of the conference. There were 4 African presents, one of each from, this is important because they also said that Africans, the FBA said that the Africans didn't know nothing about Pan-Africanism. That's what the FBA people were saying in the chat last week on this channel. The Pan-Africanist Conference, you had 4 African representatives who was at the Pan-African Conference. One was from Ethiopia. You had another one from Sierra Leone. You had another one from Liberia, and another one from the Gold Coast colony, and a dozen from North America. Among them was Du Bois. And 11 representatives came from West Indies and 5 from London. So we had them from everywhere. So there wasn't just people from the United States. There was people from Africa there. There was people from the West Indies there. There was our brothers and sisters from London who was also there. There were 11 representatives that were there. 4 African representative countries that was there. Dozens of people from North America was from there. We had our brothers from West Indies that was from there. The first Pan-African Conference, organized preliminary by the Trinidadian barrister Henry Sylvester Williams. It took a place, so going back. So when you talk about Pan-Africanism, you gotta mention the person who institutionalized or created the institution of Pan-Africanism is Henry Sylvester Williams. And the forerunners who sparked this was Garvey, were Cromwell, Marcus Delaney, Edward Blind. So we have to talk about those guys. We got to mention those individuals' names when we talk about Pan-Africanism, right? And was attended by 37 delegates and about 10 other participants and observation from Africa, the West Indies, the U.S., and the U.K., including Samuel Cambridge Taylor, the youngest delegate, John Alcidor, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his middle name or last name, John Anchor, Henry Franz Downing, and W.E. Du Bois, Bishop Alexander Walker of the AME Zionist Church. So you had representative there from the church as well, the African Methodist Episcopal Zionist Church taking the chair. Du Bois played the leading role drafting letters addressing the nations of the world, the European leaders appealing to them the struggles against racisms, the grant colonies in Africa and the West Indies, the right to self-government, and demanding political and other rights for African Americans. The first Pan-African Congress was held in London from the 23rd to the 25th of July, 1900, just prior to the Paris exhibition of 1900, in order to allow tourists of African descent to attend both events. First and Second Congress. The conference opened with the clarity statements aiming allowing Black people to discuss the conditions of the Black people race around the world. In 1919, Du Bois and others organized the first Pan-African Congress in Paris. So you had the conference, then you had the Congress that was put together by W. Du Bois. Now, a lot of you people, I know a lot of you brothers and sisters who are in here who are familiar with Pan-Africanism. You are Pan-Africanists. You know what I'm saying? You understand, you know the historicity behind Pan-Africanism. You know that Marcus Garvey did not support really these congresses that W.E. Du Bois was putting on, right? So in 1919, Du Bois and others organized the first Pan-African Congress in Paris, which brought together representatives from America, Europe, and Africa to discuss the plights of African livings under colonism. This was followed by the Second Pan-African Congress, also organized by Du Bois, which met 3 sessions in London, Brussels, and Paris, this time with representatives from French and Portuguese colonies in Africa as well. They issued a final declaration that insisted on the equality of the race, the diffusion of democracy, and the development of political institutions in the colonies. It also urged the return of Negroes to their own country and urged a League of Nations to pay attention both to the race relations and the industrialized world and the conditions of the workers in the colonies. The Third Congress, I'm not going to go into that. Y'all can read and go into the Congress. You go into all the different Congresses that actually took place in 1923, 1927, 1974. There was other Congresses. During the period between World War I and World War II, in the heyday of the Pan-African Congress movement, sentiments received a substantially practical boost from the growth of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, led by Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican immigrant to the United States. The UNIA became the largest Black movement in America diaspora. That's right. This man had millions of chapters worldwide. This was before the internet. This was before cell phones. So the man reach was globally. He had millions of chapters, UNI chapters, without the internet, without a cell phone. The largest Black movement in African-American diaspora. While the slogan of the movement was Black Back to Africa, and Garvey did indeed plan a shipping line for the purpose, relative few members of the organization actually left the New World for the Old. Nevertheless, Garvey committed to racial pride and to be the celebration of Black historical achievement and his concerns to link the diaspora to the continent, make himself an important figure in the movement history. My conclusion, right? What this shows further is that Ethiopism, or the Ethiopism movement, was not only the forerunners for Pan-Africanism, but also an early form of Pan-Africanism itself, under a different name and religious conception. As such, Ethioism was not just chronological superseding Pan-Africanism and ceased to exist once the 20th century political notion of Pan-Africanism was in place. But Ethiopism has existed as a form of Pan-Africanism parallel with what is usually regarded as Pan-Africanism proper throughout the 20th century and beyond. Here are, again, my sources. I used a lot of different sources. It was easy for me to pull from this, to put this presentation together real quick, definitely right after I get into that in just a minute. But these are my sources. Again, you can pause it. You can go through the sources. I advise critique. That's the only way that I'm able to get better. That's the way the team is able to get better. That's where we are able to get better. So, you know, but these are, you can go through my sources, and also, you know, go through the video, look at the video. Again, I always put a disclaimer out here because I am an individual. I'm not like a lot of these other individuals where I say that I am perfect. I don't make mistakes, but I try to give sound and accurate information. I try to follow proper research methodology, right? So that's why in my disclaimer, I always say I reserve the right to add information as it becomes available, or adopt changes and approve information as it becomes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, and deletions are encouraged, right? Because again, we all make mistakes, and I'm an individual who are not like others who propagate information and even using Tep Hesed, which is an Egyptian word or Kemet 2 word, which means the correct method, right? Using that correct method, using, let me stop sharing my screen. Let's see. All right. All right. So using the word, well, Tep Hesed, correct method, or using correct methodology, right? Even with that, sometimes we can make a mistake. But I'm an individual. Like I said, I'm not like other individuals. I don't proclaim to be right and exact about everything, and everything that I read, I don't think is always right and exact. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I always put it up under a fine microscope when I'm doing my research on certain things. Right. So, but I hope, let me show, I won't show my shirt. My wife got me this shirt from Jamaica. She went to Jamaica not too long ago with Marcus Garvey, man. And she had, I can't remember what part of Jamaica she went to, but I told her she cannot leave. She cannot leave Jamaica without getting me a shirt. And she found so much resistance in whatever part of Jamaica she was in when she spoke about Marcus Garvey to the people, and her husband wanted a shirt and some other things if they had of Marcus Garvey, but she was able to find me a shirt. I think they tore her mouth out for the shirt, but I'm just glad she was able to get me a shirt. But you know, so, but anyway, before, you know, I just wanted to talk about the Pan-African, talk about the Ethiopism. You know, how many in here familiar in the chat? We had 30 people in here a while ago. We got 23 in here now. Show of hands, how many people knew about Ethiopism movement? How many people knew about them? For the show of hands, let me know, nay or nay. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't, just say you didn't. If you didn't, and it's okay if you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's okay if you don't. We all here to learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? I learned so many different things from other people. I'm not ashamed to say that I've learned something from somebody else and I didn't know that, right? That's what it's all about. It's about each one teach one. It's about my phrase I like to use, as I learn, we all learn. It's about the ideology of the American Negro Academy by Alex Cromwell and what they did, right? So, it's all a thing of, man, of us learning, but we can't talk about Pan-Africanism without honoring those people who sparked the forerunners of Pan-Africanism, because I'm saying that there wouldn't be Pan-Africanism if it wasn't for Ethiopia's movement, right? And so we have to go back and retrieve, we have to Sankofa and go back and retrieve the information. So we have to dig through the historical data to retrieve this information. I came across it, I've studied it in depth. For sure. Hey, look at it, Conde, peace. Shabaka, peace. Sister Zuna says she didn't. Peace, sister. I appreciate everybody, man, that's tuning in. You know what I'm saying, for the this presentation. Again, this is my return to the channel. I hadn't did anything in a while on the channel, and it's because people from the community ran me off, in particular. I'm a member of the Mossy Warrior Clan, gonna forever be a member of the Mossy Warrior Clan. We have done so many great things inside of what they call in the conscious community, but I just no longer wanted to be involved in the country community chaos and confusion. You know what I'm saying? I'm about educating, and the community came about chaos and confusion. So when it got that bad, I ran for the hills. So I tucked my tail and I ran for maybe 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? I really hadn't did too much. Every now and then come back on him, but this channel was for educational purpose. And the purpose of this group is to educate people, because this group was formed to spread West African culture and tradition, because everybody was saying they was from Kemet, right? And the Kemet culture, this was always talked about, the Kemet, or the Moors, or the Hebrew. So we wanted to bring an element, because majority of us is from West Africa. Our lineage goes back to West Africa, and a small pocket of us, our lineage goes back to Central Africa. So we wanted to come on here and educate people about West African culture and tradition. So you can go through the archives. I have hundreds of videos, and that's the reason why I could take 2 or 3 years off, because I have hundreds of videos partaking from 2018 to 2017 to maybe 2020 when I stopped, or 2022 when I stopped. You know what I'm saying? So it's hundreds of videos of me, hundreds of videos of Enia Red Sean. Yeah, funny, it's 100 videos of my brother who formed, also one of the founding members, Black Panther, also Benjamin Njai. So, but anyway, we can't talk about Pan-Africanism without talking about Ethiopianism, without talking about, if you don't know who Richard Allen is, go look up Richard Allen, go look up Absalom Jones. And I know a lot of us, we have a disdain for the church, but a lot of the forerunners that sparked Pan-Africanism was a reverend. Richard Allen was a preacher. Absalom Jones was a preacher who started the AME church. Then you had from South Africa, Makandi, Magina Macomb, and you had James Dwayne, who was also a part of the Ethiopian church, who was ministers, right? Then you had Alex Cromwell, who was a forerunner for Pan-Africanism. He was a minister. He was a part of the church. Some of the people that was a part of the American Negro Academy was a part of the church. So these was the intellectuals at that particular time. I can't say that for today, because the church, even when you look at Richard Allen Church, the Bethlehem AME Church, it was an anchor. It was an anchor in connection to the Underground Railroad, right? So it has its ties and freeing of the slaves as well, right? So at that particular time, a lot of the intellectuals come out of the church. The thinkers come out of the church. It took a different spin later on in time. So I don't have a disdain too much. I used to, but I don't have a disdain for people who are in the church this much because I know what individuals who was a part of the church at a particular time, what it did for some of our movements when it came to the Underground Railroad movement, when it came to intellectualism, when it came to spreading education to the community, when it came to hiding some of our people and abolishers, you know what I'm saying, when it came to resisting, because Richard Allen and Absalom Jones, they was the first independent church. They was the first to spark the resistance against the white regime, whether it was the church or whether it was the government. You know what I'm saying? They was the first ones with the core ideal of self-pride, you know what I'm saying? African for Africans, you know what I'm saying? Which sparked in South Africa. We have to connect globally, you know what I'm saying? We have to solve our own problems, you know what I'm saying? We have to build our own institutions. We have to educate our own selves. You know what I'm saying? We have to feed our soul with our own spiritual institutions. You know what I'm saying? We have to heal our own selves, right? So, and then you get to the South Africa with the Ethiopian church, which sparked the movement. If it wasn't for Ethiopia, Ethiopia wouldn't have sparked the movement for Ethiopianism, because these individuals draw back to Ethiopia, because Ethiopia was not colonized, because they won which they went to war twice in the Battle of Adwa. Hold on, let me show y'all something. I think it's in this book right here. Let me see if I got it in here so I can give y'all the right. Okay, it is. This book right here. This book right here. We Are the Spears of Victory. We Are the Spears of Victory. I wrote a chapter in here about the Battle of Adwa. We put this book out. This is produced by the Kofi Piché research team. We have 5 volumes. This is the last volume we produced. We produced 5 volumes. So I talk about it. So if you want to get more in depth into the Battle of Adwa, you can also pick up this book right here. And it's a whole chapter dedicated to them. But they draw to Ethiopia because of the Battle of Adwa. These Ethiopians, or what the Europeans was referring to these people as Ethiopians, defeated the Italians, not once, but twice in the Battle of Adwa, right? Then you had Greek writers who was writing great things about the Ethiopians. Marcus Delaney was reading their writings. Cromwell was reading their writings. Edward Biden was reading their writings. Marcus Garvey was reading their writings. So that's how they was able to draw to this country, because that country gave them inspiration to fight back and to build their own, and don't let any outsiders come in and take what they have built. Showing the unification. This is what happened when you unify and come together. You can overcome and achieve anything. So this is why they draw to Ethiopia. So we must talk about Ethiopia too when we talk about Pan-Africanism before we get to the Ethiopian movement, because there wouldn't be no Ethiopianism movement without Ethiopia doing what they're doing by stopping the invaders from colonizing Ethiopia, by defeating the Italians who were trying to come in. We know that the Berlin Conference, they tried to carve up Africa and colonize, and you had British and Portuguese and Spain and the Dutch, Italy, Berlin, Germany, the United States. All these people was involved in trying to carve up and colonize Africa, right? But these people in Ethiopia fought back, right? So this is where these people like Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, Majini McCone, James Duval draw from. Also, as well as who was also a part of the Ethiopian movement, Marcus Garvey, before he was a Pan-African, he was an Ethiopius. Marcus Delaney. So all these people drew from this movement, and this movement was sparked out of the inspiration from a country, Ethiopia. And then from the forerunners, such as Henry, where Marcus Garvey and Marcus Delaney and Cromwell, You had those forerunners. Then you had a brother come in who institutionalized this and put everything together in Paris and in London with the conference, the Pan-African Conference, and coined Pan-Africanism during that conference, which sparked the ideology of the Pan-African Conference, which was influenced by Marcus Garvey, Edward Bine, Cromwell, and Marcus Delaney, which they was also influenced by the Ethiopians movement and was a part of the Ethiopian movement, which I showed you the core values. The core values are the same, and it is in line with Pan-Africanism. So again, I just wanted to hit that point home, and I'm not going to keep trying to drive that point home, but I just wanted people, what I'm saying, and I wanted to come in a different direction when we talking about Pan-Africanism, because when we talk about Pan-Africanism, we always leave out a big gap of information. So I wanted to fill the void of that information and tell you the origin of Pan-African, how Pan-Africanism even came into existence. And now we can't only just talk. If you listen to this video, if you looked at this presentation, you can't no longer, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, you can't no longer just mention Marcus Delaney name. You can't no longer just mention Marcus Garvey name, because that's a lot of what we associate Pan-Africanism with. We got to mention Henry Sylvester Williams. We got to mention him. Also, we got to mention the other guys I keep repeating, because there wouldn't be those forerunners of Pan-Africanism without Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, Magini McCone, James Dwayne, and others alike, and the movement that was pushed through Ethiopia, right? And we got to mention Ethiopia. We got to mention Ethiopia. We got to mention the people in Ethiopia. So now we got more names and more faces that we can associate it with. And now we have more historical context. We have more historical context, because now we have that people were saying that Pan-Africanism was not in Africa. We know that it started here and it went back to Africa. We have individuals who went back also into Africa. We seen the influence of the Pan-African ideology, which was brung or sparked out of Ethiopian core base, right? So we see those things. So then you have them saying that Africa, we wasn't saying Africa, but there's other instances I can show you in the 17th and the 18th century where this word was actually, we was actually using this phrase. But we see the Free African Society in 1797 with Richard Allen and Absalom. They started an organization. This was in 1797. This is in the historical data. This is in the record. This is in some of the documents. So that word is, and we see people leaving America and going into the Africa as well. You know what I'm saying? And influencing the Pan-African movement in the late 19th century, going into the 20th century. So we see Pan-Africanism is alive and well in Africa, and it has been for centuries. We have been calling ourselves Africans for centuries, right? We have drawn to Africa for centuries. And one particular place before Egypt was for even popular, it was Ethiopia. Now Egypt is the fad. Everybody is talking about Egypt, but Ethiopia was the fad. And Ethiopia is the progenitor, they say, to Egypt, right? So if anybody got any questions, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for a few more minutes, but I'm gonna get off of here in a few minutes. I've been on here for an hour and a half. For those who, if you appreciated the presentation, man, we got 32 people on here, man. Please like and share the video. Please like and share the video. This is the only way that we able to get this in the algorithm. And okay, and I appreciate it. I'm looking now, it's 32 likes. It's 32 people in here right now. It's 32 likes. So, you know, continue to like so we can kind of get this in the algorithm. If you appreciated this presentation, share it with somebody. If you know somebody is not going to appreciate this, don't share it to them. You know what I'm saying? Don't even waste your time. But if you know somebody that's going to appreciate this information, please share this information with each other. You know what I'm saying? But for those who are in here right now, you know, and I'm just asking if you appreciate it. And if you didn't appreciate it, that's fine too. Just give me your honest opinion. If you didn't like it, that's cool. If you liked it, that's cool. But if you liked it, you know, let me know in the comments right now before I get out here. And if you didn't, put it in the comments. You know, I got hard skin. I've been a part of this community for a long time. Even though they ran me away, I've been gone for 3 years. I've been doing my own thing. You know what I'm saying? Still been on my studies. You know what I'm saying? I just been more business wise. You know what I'm saying? I can't make no business in the conscious community. So I have, you know what I'm saying? So, but this is something that I love to do. I love being a member of the Mossy Warrior clan. I love being a Pan-Africanist. I love being a Garveyite. I love being a Black nationalist. I love being a spokesperson for the people. I love sharing information. So it definitely feel good for me to come back on and do this. And I hadn't did this in a few years, but I had to come on and do this after looking at the presentation. If you didn't look at, not the presentation, but if you didn't look at the discussion last week on this channel with Black Panther, Sean P, or Eni Harriet, Sean Calfunny, Asari Imhotep, and Dr. Asar, please go back and look. They had a whole discussion on there. You might have to listen to it in segments because they did a whole 3 hours. And so I can't be on 3 hours and something. But I listened to the first hour and a half. I was in the chat, engaging in the chat and seeing a lot of the FBA people in the chat being disrespectful, especially when I learned out what the word tether means. You know what I'm saying? And they're basically calling you an animal. So if you hear them call you that, and this ain't even to attack them. This presentation wasn't to attack anyone. That's not what I do. I know we do this in the community, in the conscious community, where it's okay to attack another Black man, a Black woman. It's okay to stroke your ego. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to show that you or try to demonstrate that you are intelligent than the next person. That's just not my steez. Even when I disagree with people, I'm going to put it in writing or I'm going to do a presentation about it. I'm not going to attack anybody, even though I fully disagree with the ideology of FBA, ADOS, you know what I'm saying? Especially FBA in particular. But, you know, maybe one day that, it's just a fad. I think it's just a fad because, you know, everything else is a fad. People are joining organizations left and right. You got people, and I'm gonna be quiet because I'm gonna disrespect somebody if I say something. So I'm just gonna be quiet on that. But anyway, man, I appreciate everybody. I was asking, man, but again, I'm gonna ask one more time. If you appreciate it, man, put your hands up, man. A thumbs up, man. If you appreciate it. If you didn't like it, put a thumbs down, man. This here kind of engaged me as well. Let me know, because I want to come back on at least once a month on the channel and have some discussions. Get back into what I love doing. Get back into what I was doing from 2017 up until 2023. That was I stopped in 23. So from 17 to 23, I've dedicated my life to being on this channel and out in my communities, demonstrating Pan-Africanism, or just trying to educate people on who they are, or clear up some misinformation, or direct people to the right information to make their own decisions on their own, right? So I guess didn't nobody like it all. I would just, you know, a thumbs up, man. I really would appreciate it, man. But any questions? If anybody ain't got no questions, I'm trying to look through these comments too, real quick. If anybody got a comment for me, anybody got a concern, the time is now before I get ready to get up off of here. The colonizer exploited African children and steal money from America used to continually oppress African globally. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? They definitely in there now. The European is still in there. So if Africa was that bad, right? If Africa was that bad, why in the 19th century, I think 1899, somewhere around in there, the Berlin Conference, why that all of these so-called European powers want to go into Africa. Can y'all hear me? Oh, never mind. I thought he said the mute button is on. But why do these people go into Africa? You know, just going back to what Sister Zuna was actually stating, right? Why is the Chinaman in Africa? If Africa is such a bad place, why did they want to colonize it, right? If Africa was such a bad place, why is the Chinese in there buying up shit, you know what I'm saying, and taking over certain places, right? Africa sustains. Africa is the second largest continent, not a country, continent in the world. And it sustains the world with its natural resources. It has the most natural resources in the ground. I also did a presentation on this channel demonstrating and showing you all of the natural resources that is exported out of the country, right? You know, gold and copper and fiber and rubber, so many different types of minerals, the minerals for the phone, so many oil, gas. There's so many different minerals that these people are going in and taking the resources, you know what I'm saying, and creating generational wealth, you know what I'm saying, off of the natural resources in the ground, right? So I'm looking through here, trying to see if anybody. It's the term emerging as Williams is sending awareness to the first plan to have the conference. It is a direct response to Pan Out. It is definitely. I don't see any. Let's see. It's taking some notes to do some further research. Gonna share this. Appreciate it, man. Please share the video. Obi Femi, my brother Obi Femi. Build, grow, and organize political education. To organize is the key to Black liberation worldwide. All Africans belong to us. We are African people, for sure. Shabaka. Yeah. So been in the tunnel of the underground. Oh, you've been in the tunnel. Okay. How was that like? Let's see what he says right here. FBA cannot exist without Africa. The legend of the Sumer said that the people of Sumer lost their history and culture, and so they died. That's what will happen with African people in America, the FBA. The propaganda toward us, so we won't touch Africa. Most definitely the propaganda, man, and we keep buying into the propaganda, man. Keep buying. Okay, FBA News update says hello. That's one of the brothers that was in that piece. I don't have nothing but positive things to say, bro. So it won't be this type of show where I disrespect y'all, even though I disagree with y'all and y'all disagree with what we got. I'm just, you know, I don't know if you missed it, but if you missed it, go back and look at the presentation, because I think you was one, as well as a few other people. I asked, what is Pan-Africanism? Y'all was saying Pan-Africanism was a diagnosis. We didn't call ourselves Africans here. Pan-Africanism wasn't in Africa. So I cleared up some of those things. There were some other things that y'all say that I also cleared up, but I also want to educate my people also too on how Pan-Africanism even came into existence when we mentioned the Ethiopianism movement. Right. So I ain't gonna disrespect you at all, you know what I'm saying, even though I disagree with what you're saying, but just go back and look at the video, you know what I'm saying? Look at the video. That's how we able to learn from each other, you know, whether we like it or not. I listen to stuff all the time, whether I like it or not. I listen to, you know, if it's respectful. Now, if it's not respectful, I'm not going to listen. I receive information from anybody, whether I agree. But when it started to be disrespectful, like I seen a lot of things in there, y'all will see I was using the word tether, if I'm saying it right. And when we went to the origin of the word and we looked at the word, you calling your own people animals. That is the same usage of the word, or the same thing that I was talking about earlier, about the news media over here in the United States during the 18th century, the 19th century, and the 20th century was writing, and well, especially during the 18th century, they was writing and hadn't even been into Africa, but they was writing negative things about Africa. And one of the things was they was calling us animals. You know what I'm saying? Intelligent. They were using the word backwards. Let me put the link in here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll put the link in here. I guess Unc want to pop on real quick. Unc, I'm gonna put the link in here, dog. I ain't gonna be on here too much longer. But again, I'm just with the brother again, man. You just come in peace, man. Y'all was kind of like real disrespectful, man. In the chat, you know what I'm saying? But I understand. I definitely understand. Hold on, let me share this link. And what I'll do is I'll put the link in here too. Let me text. There's the link. Unc want to come on. And if anybody else want to come on for a few minutes, man, y'all can come on for a few minutes. I got 15, 20 minutes at the most, and I'm getting up off here. I don't believe in doing long shows. I believe making a point and getting off of there. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand the attention span. I know people, I've tried to value people's time too. I know people don't have, they have a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. And all right, it's in the chat. So I'm texting. I think Unc gonna come on for a minute or whatever. And everybody else want to pop on for a minute. You more than welcome to pop on the platform for a few minutes. We can have a discussion. We can chop it up. But I'll say this too. Oh shit. Hold on. All right, yeah, my bad. That's the YouTube. Here it is. My bad. So, and even if anybody that do pop on, please be respectful. Like, I don't like it. I don't engage. My other brothers, they like to do it, you know what I'm saying? And they good at doing it. I can be good at doing it too, but I don't want to engage in disrespecting another person. You know what I'm saying? Believe in having a civilized conversation if we gonna have a civilized conversation. What's happening with it, brother?
What's good with you, man? Good to see you live.
Yeah, man.
Man, bro. Why y'all leaving these streets by myself with these people? Man, God damn, bro.
Man, I had to come do it, man. I was talking to Sean and I told him, he was like, man, I've been ran off for too long. I'm thinking about coming back and at least doing something like once a month. You know what I'm saying?
Once a month, something, bro.
Yeah, so when I seen they show, when I seen like some of the comments, I was like, well, damn, this would be a good time to educate, but not only just educate them of what Pan-Africanism is, but even talk to my people who, you know what I'm saying, give them a whole historicity on Pan-Africanism or how it led up to be when you talk about the Ethiopianism of movement and some of the forerunners, you know what I'm saying, Ethiopianism who influenced some of the other individuals like Marcus Delaney and Marcus Garvey and Alex Cromwell and Eden Binding and even Henry Sylvester Williams, you know what I'm saying? So, it wouldn't be, in my opinion, there wouldn't be no Pan-Africanism without that movement, because that movement came before Pan-Africanism, that the first line of resistance, the first thing of self-pride, the first things of African for Africans, you know what I'm saying, aligning with other African people globally, you know what I'm saying, to affect some type of positive change. So I said, well, this would be a great demonstration to talk about that leading up into Pan-Africanism, and even talking about some of the things that they said that Africa, we weren't even saying we was Africans here, you know what I'm saying? And it showed completely in historical data, that they was using that word. And I showed one, I could have showed more, but Richard Allen and Absalom, who was forerunners of the Ethiopian movement, they formed a Free African Society, you know what I'm saying? And that is and that was in 1797, if I believe, or 1797, I believe. That was in the 18th century. So you see the word there, but I can show the word used many other times, you know what I'm saying? And then they were saying it wasn't in Africa. It started here, but then I showed you how it spread it back to Africa. Even before Pan-Africanism, the thought, Ethiopianism spread it to South Africa. and then spread it to West Africa and then other parts of Africa. So, but yeah, man. But you know, that was like the gist. I don't know if you checked out the presentation and or you
Popped up
just
late,
popped
but
in.
I already know how you get down.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make this point. No matter how much you educate in this situation, there's something more deeper involved here. First of all, like you said, you talked about alliances, and really, you're talking about when you say Pan-African. To me, you're really talking about having alliances, having allies, right? That's another way of saying I'm gonna have an ally in this struggle, okay, against colonialism, right? Or against whatever forge against people that look like me and you. I ain't never seen nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I think what I've learned about history is if you paint yourself in a box, you'll be by yourself. You should never paint yourself in a box. You should always leave that back door open for all kind of conversations and talks. So what we have here is ignorance of who we are and ignorance of the subject matter. Most people coming from that camp, they don't even care about what Pan-Africanism is or what a Pan-African is or what it is, what it ain't. And they claim that Pan-Africans had talking points. Like, for instance, they say, Unc, you're a Pan-African because you say you use the term African-American. That's got to be the slap silly. I mean, the overall silliness of the thing. You know, personally, I've never called myself a Pan-African, but I will align myself with people with that thought process that have the understanding that's correct and right, and will help, define and educate our people. Like, why would I say I'm not going to deal with people who use that conversation? Why would I make such a statement like that? Why would I have a problem with my brothers? I don't have problems with nobody. The issues always come into play when what we do. We're gonna educate. I might educate with a little extra flair, right? And be with the smoke. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't coming on here lying though, bro. If we make mistakes, we correct it.
Right.
And it's about having real education. So it's clear that people aren't willing to educate themselves, past what they heard in the barbershop. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't with that. Or what they heard on the corner, or what they heard from a wild book from nowhere. We're not willing to do that. We put everything through the test.
That's right.
Get some good quality textbooks, get some good information, and put it up for scrutiny. And we scrutinize each other. That's why the thing is so strong, and we can always come back together again. Big up to Ben, too. Ben, a funny guy. Ben, big, come on, man. Ben, Black Panther, man. Come on, man. No, but I'm just saying, big up to him. I had some great conversations with him lately.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
ain't gonna tell you what we talked about, but he's funny. We just had to start laughing. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. But my point is, man, although I qualify myself as being a non-believer, I have friends that believe. It's the most ridiculous thing to think that people who don't believe don't have friends that have spiritual beliefs. It's nothing wrong with it.
Right. You
can build you can build groups upon groups. That's always going to be solid to educate. You might have your squabbles and all that, but at the end of the day, we all know what the mission is. So now we're in that space, right? Where they acting like they don't know where the Pan-African is and what you calling a person a tether. I'm saying there's people on both sides of this conversation that are reckless. We can admit that.
Yeah.
But the overall general consensus is that we know we have common goals at times. And last time I checked, I don't have a problem with people that live on the continent of Africa having their own unique culture and being proud of it. The same way I understand myself to be Black and proud. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we got the greatest culture on planet Earth. But that doesn't exclude me from having conversations or allowing other people to have their ideas and promote their own culture. We work together in real life. See, in real life, we work together. On YouTube is a beef. See how that works?
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth, man. That's the truth, man. I wish that we could just all sit down and like just have some, some civilized conversation. It's okay to agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? But and that's just me. It's okay to agree to disagree, man. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of us, and I think, I could be wrong. Some of them probably would sit down, but I think how some of us, because it's reckless, like you said, on both sides. I've been trying to pay attention a little bit more. I've been trying to get a little bit more back in the fold because I've been out. But I see, like, on both hands, we'll attack them. So when we attack them, you know what I'm saying, that open it up for them. They don't even want to hear nothing we gotta say. I'm the same way. If you attack me, we can agree, we can disagree all day on. Long as we having a civilized conversation, I'm gonna listen to whatever you gotta say. But when you start talking about your mama, or you talking about you a black bee, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, then I'm turned off. But the next person is too. They ain't even listen. Now they just trying to go back and forth and keep up with insulting you just like you insulting them. So now it done turned into a shout match, and now it goes into something totally different. You know what I'm saying? So, I think if we just approach it a little bit different, man, you know what I'm saying, on both sides, but we can agree to disagree and be respectful with each other and then hear each other out. And we still don't have to agree with each other, because I know what, by me presenting this not going to change the mindsets of those individuals at all. I understand that, you know what I'm saying? But it's out here. It's out here. So if they do have some misunderstandings, or, you know what I'm saying, or didn't understand something, or didn't know a particular thing, it's out there for them to get, whether they receive it or not. Mm-hmm. But you showing something right here?
I shared my screen. I'm gonna show you what you're dealing with, and this is real. It's not a stage joke. It's not in between. You dealing with homo ignoramus right now, man, bro. This is different.
Explain this. Explain this. I just caught all of what you just said. Go ahead, explain this.
With willful ignorance, bro. Small brains unused. Okay, you're dealing with a club, comfortable club. They comfortable and where they at. You ain't pushing the needle like we do. They got their head in the sand, bro. You know what I'm saying? Blinders, the blinders of denial, man. Misinformation, man. They just believing, bro. They not really can. This is a different thing now. This is a online culture you're dealing with now, bro. That ain't even no shade. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I talk about leakies, if I talk about the leakies, mm-hmm. and how chaired some Pan-African conferences, right? Mm-hmm. And you got something called the Pan-African archaeology, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go into, we know who the leakies are.
Yeah, we know who the leakies are.
Oh, okay, right. That's called education. Mm-hmm. Past what you was taught in your high school, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm saying it was those Pan-African conferences right there that galvanized, watch this, different African countries, okay, to allow Europeans in to get the fossils, and they had mandated that certain education must happen amongst the African nations, right? Certain things had to be taught to the Africans in those different countries, okay, to understand the fossils that would help change our understanding of humanity, bro. So right there, for me, see, this is what I do. For me, that's a hell of an accomplishment right there. Yeah. For African community.
Yeah. Let's do this though. Take it down, man. I don't.
You was already gonna get it. Listen what I'm saying. This is for whoever is willfully ignorant. That goes for both sides, yo. Mm-hmm. See, they're gonna play with you, but it's real. Mm-hmm. And we all go through this stage right here, though, Kofi. See, Kofi, sometimes though, we know each other, don't we?
Yeah, we know each other.
Have I not been ignorant willfully at times, bro? Yeah. Can you not say that? Yeah. Right. Have we not worked through it?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, so listen, bro, trouble is already at the door. So if a person want to take that and make it trouble, then he make it trouble. I said everybody. I said we're dealing with homo ignoramus. Okay. I didn't say FBA is homo ignoramus.
So you got that FBA convo. You know what I'm saying?
He's just playing. He's chatting to Patty. He will never join the conversation. He will make it about him. It's not about him. It's about all of us being ignorant, yo, simply not to know. Listen, bro, we done had deep, long conversations about all subject matters. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that ever saved the conversation is that we learned past our ignorance.
Right.
You
True.
feel me? That's
True.
that's for everybody that
Yeah.
are ignorant. What is ignorant? Who don't know?
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
so just for the love of the channel and for the love of the
Mhm.
people, and since some people want to make it about themselves and not about their ignorance, right? I'll take it down for the love of the
Mhm.
channel. You get my point.
Yeah, and I get exactly what you're saying. Now I get you. Now I got what you're saying, and
Come
you
on,
want
man.
directing that toward
No, I wasn't.
toward to everybody. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
wouldn't I just come out and say that though? When have you
Yeah,
ever
you would.
known me to bite my tongue? Think about that. This me you
Yeah,
talking to, bro.
right, right,
You think I'm afraid
right.
of FBA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the real conversations. I had a wild conversation. Yeah, I had a wild conversation yesterday with a dude. I don't even want to say his name, right? But what I learned in that conversation is a lot of people don't really want to have a conversation like this. They want to yell and scream. That's the easy one, right? They want to ask you 30 questions in the midst of trying to answer one question. They don't want to have an intellectual conversation where we can figure out what each side is getting wrong, bro. That's essential, right? What is each side getting wrong? What am I getting wrong? How am I mischaracterizing Pan-Africanism? Because watch this, I can sit up here and we went through that vaccine battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of pushback from people that are claiming Pan-Africanism. Think about that. Me and Sean.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I said, "Yo, what's going on here, man?" But am I to characterize everybody that participates in Pan-Africanism as an anti-vaxxer? Am I to do that? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that. That just let me know what segment of the community needs to get educated. Everybody was ignorant at the beginning of the pandemic. Nobody was talking about that. It was me and Sean. We talking about 8 months prior to that. We were all ignorant. Think about that. They was looking at me and Sean like, "What is y'all doing?"
I'm gonna say in December, before the pre-pandemic, I was looking at y'all the same way in a sense, but just like you said, we have to learn through our ignorance. So, and we all are ignorant to certain things. We just don't know. And then once we know, then it's okay to change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's okay because now you know. You know what I'm saying? So I was one of those ones because you and Sean are my brothers. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, whoa. And then pandemic hit.
See?
And then when the pandemic hit, the shit got real. You know what I'm saying? People dying all over the place.
Yeah.
Y'all talk. I said, well, damn, let me listen, because y'all is like looking at the videos. Y'all is buying these high-ass damn books, $100 and some books, and you know what I'm saying, going through these books, and you know what I'm saying. So I said, well, let me just take a listen, you know what I'm saying, and then let me go do my own research, you know what I'm saying, afterward, because y'all lay it out, and then y'all, this is where we got this at. Boom, 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 this. So now I can get access to the information and I can go through it and make a sound decision for myself and be like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? So now the ignorance that I was in pre-pandemic, I'm no longer thinking that way come February. I'm in a whole total different state, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with being ignorant to certain things. And we all are still ignorant to certain things until we just,
it's nothing
you know
wrong.
what I'm saying? Until we know it's nothing wrong with that.
Not a
you know
shot.
what I'm saying? Yeah. So I get you. I get what you're saying.
And so imagine being in a space where nobody was even talking about that, right? And imagine being ahead of the curve. See, having a conversation about some serious things, bro, it's about trying to understand that serious thing. Okay. And us, you, Sean, everybody, Mossy, pseudo killers, point blank. We put people that look like me and you at an advantage. We had them prepared. We was like if you're a Bible person, okay, we was like the flood is coming. It's the craziest thing ever. Here's something that can help your family, right? You just should understand it. And if you need this tool, it will help you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, the flood is coming. And I be damned, bro. Think about that for a minute. Really think about the role you played in that. Think about the publishing company, Think
Yeah.
about what work it produced.
Right.
You see, sometimes
Yeah.
we need to stop, smell the flowers, and see how valuable we are. Period. Because if you
Mhm.
don't do it, you'll miss it. Right? You think about it, yo. This thing was never about not having conversations, though, Kofi. Kofi, I'm sitting here listening to the whole FBA conversation, the whole Pan-African conversation, and I say, man, they probably just need to go back and listen to some shows we did over the years to explain this. You get it? Like there's a difference between Marcus Garvey, Umar Johnson, that thing, and then serious people that's serious with the Pan-African thing, that's dedicated to doing the work. And I never knew what the hell is a Pan-African talking point. Like people is just making up stuff. It's not going to be based in scholarship, right? What I make sure I do is I want to stay under control with myself. You get it? Like, because I know if people could just hear the real conversation, they didn't call themselves. You did a whole presentation earlier. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna watch that tonight before I go to bed, right? You know, what is the education you're trying to bring? So we're not willfully ignorant, homo ignoramus, howling, screaming to the top of your lungs, fighting, going back and forth. And we can just say, well, let's look it up together. Let's correct that. So for me, the whole FBA conversation and Pan-African conversation, I don't disagree with us being part of the foundation of America. To deny that is crazy. I don't disagree with our ethnogenesis. Our ethnogenesis is enslaved Africans from Africa, Europeans, 20%, 30%, and 4 to 1% Native Americans. That's who we are. A Nigerian could never be ethnically an African American, though, Kofi. We understand who we are. Whether you change the name or not, you have to fit that definition. You can't make up a whole pseudo ethnogenesis and expect us to buy that. Those who are educated and decided to read textbooks and produce books, you can't just run it up. You know, Sean been fighting the elbow movement for about a good solid 2.5, 3 years, bro.
Yeah. I don't know how he keep doing it. I don't know.
Hold on. This the part that's wild about it. Now it's relevant. You see how he ahead of the curve on that? Think about that for a minute. Ahead of the curve. You can't start the fight. You can't prepare for a war during the war, bro. I'm just saying, yo, we just been ahead of the curve on a lot of things, Joe. So if a person really want to know and understand when the word Africa was being used, when Pan-Africanism was this, that, and the other, yo, there's people on all sides, on the pseudo killers, Chalembe, Juju, highly educated. They Pan-Africans. You feel me? Highly educated. Yourself, highly educated. Sean, Ben, all you highly educated on it. If they want the education, man, they got to come around to people just putting out the education on that subject. And we should have dialogue like this. You get that, right? That calm and don't talk, don't give us a lecture. Right? You get my point, right, Kobe? Right? Say your point. What's the disagreement? You know, that's how the civilized people do it. You know that, right? They sit down at the table and they have great conversations, and it makes for great content. And people watching can see the checks and balances, the right and what's wrong, and we all learn. But if we holler, screaming, cussing each other out, I think they do that on purpose now. I learned it. I'm a bait Unc into it. I'm a cuss him out, say something wild. He gonna respond back because he can't help himself, right? That way we don't have the serious conversation, and he ain't bringing that fire. Yeah, you get it? I be for the smoke though, Kofi.
I know you do, man. I know you do.
But it's not. Is listen to what I'm saying, bro. I'm smoked out. Yeah, I mean, yeah. When I say I'm smoked out, is I'm tired of giving the ignorant an advantage that they don't even deserve, bro. You feel me? Of course, I can waddle with bums and down with kings. I can get in the mud and do all that. I'm a mudslinger with the helmet on. You feel me? Yeah, but how is that? You know, it comes a certain point where you reach a certain age, you be like, I'm turning the page on doing it that way. You feel me? I just think it's better. It was fun while it lasted, though. Don't get it twisted.
I'm glad though. I'm showing maturity on your side too, cause
God.
I don't even lie. Cause like you cheat people like myself and others like myself, and what I mean by that is, it's like people come on to watch you and watch others because they buy into what you got going on, and they believe that you can educate them and push them in the right direction. So they coming on to learn, and then it gets the part we started to learn. We trying to receive everything, and then it take a turn of events, and it's go to it get turn up. You know what I'm saying? And now it goes from it being a civilized dialogue and both everybody's learning to goddamn, you know, it going to being a chaos match, man. I'd be like, oh man. And 30 minutes in, I'm like, God damn. 30 minutes in, I'm like, God damn, I gotta get off. I get off, and I'm like, damn, I'm just speaking. I feel cheated. I've been waiting for this shit. They've been promoting this for a whole week. I've been waiting for this all week. The time has come, and I'm tuned in. Oh man, I'm ready. And especially if I'm not familiar with a lot of things, I break out. I get me a pen and a pad. I'm finna take me some notes. They finna share some fire sources. I'm finna write these sources down. I'm finna buy these books. I'm finna look at these. I'm finna read these journals. I'm finna read these articles. And I'm ready. And then I'm receiving it. And then 30 minutes in, all hell done broke loose. I'm like, God damn, I gotta get off here. They done cheated me, cause ain't no more civil dialogue. Now it's finna be back and forth, and now they finna start attacking what he already said, what he attacking. So now it's just about everybody attacking each other. It ain't about the information, it ain't about the people no more. So I get off and I be like, well, God damn,
you're a tough cookie though, boy. You didn't win through it. I you know, that's why I really mess with you, man. Because you're a tough. You done had to deal with Sean.
Yes, indeed.
You done had to deal with me.
Yes,
you done had to be in between me and Sean.
Yep, I had to be in, and that was I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? That was a bad situation.
Me and Sean don't got no sense, yo. If you put a mirror up, yo,
yes,
and you looking at both of us, it's the same thing. You just looking at it, look, we can't even.
But and what's so crazy is, it's like I disagree with that part, you know, with both of y'all, but I love both of y'all so much for real, and it's outside of just us being a part of a group or a discussion with each other. I mean, you've been there when, you know what I'm saying, when my wife was sick, you was there when my son had that bad wreck. I mean, you've been there for like some real life events in my life, man. You supported me. So, you know, I can't take that for granted, but it's been times where, like with Sean and even with you, there's been people been like trying to put me against y'all, not to fool with y'all, because they didn't like what y'all was doing. But I was like, I'll never go against Sean. I'll never go against I'll never go against if you feel like you don't want to fool with me because of them, I'm fine with that, but you will never pin me against those two. You know what I'm saying? I may disagree on how they approach certain things, but they're my brothers at the end of the day. And I'm with them. And I used to tell people all the time, I talk to I be telling man, you gotta come down. I be telling Sean. You know what I'm saying? But they, at the end of the day, they own, man, and I ain't just entertaining. So don't think I'm just sitting back and I'm entertaining it. I'm trying to fix it and try to get it where everybody can talk and, you know, everybody can be educated. But I mean, like I say, at the end of the day, they grown men. They gonna do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I like shit. Like I said, I feel cheated sometimes too, even with Sean. Sean will get on there, he go off. I be like, oh shit, I gotta turn this shit off. Excuse me, I gotta turn this off. I gotta turn it off because he turned up. He turned up now.
Definitely get the cooking though.
Yeah, he turned up.
So you know, I wanted to bring that up because I think it's important, man. You know, being on the platform to let people know, yo, we ain't never stop messing with each other like that. We might not speak. I'm not even talking about me and you, but it's that bond gonna always bring us back together. That we truth seekers, bro.
Mm-hmm.
In the greatest sense, we're truth seekers. And when we find ourselves to be wrong, and I'm gonna speak for myself, I'm gonna say I was wrong. I got that wrong. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with admitting my behavior in certain situations, and because that's important for people to be able to see that. We don't make ourselves vulnerable enough in this community. You know, everybody got to be right about everything all the time.
Yeah.
You can't make a mistake. You got to be super perfect, and that's that wild, fake pseudo standard right there.
Yeah.
Man, we just like everybody else, man. We getting out the mud. We putting up our own money, our own resources. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a hobby that turned into something that has educated people around the world.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, seriously, bro. I mean, that's the truth.
Right.
Where is Chavez at? Where he at, man? I was sitting
He was
back.
in here earlier, man. I ain't that, you know, I told him when I seen him in here earlier, man. I'm happy to see him, man. I hadn't seen him in a while. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I miss a lot of you guys, though. I'll be real. I miss like you. I still talk to Sean. I still talk to Ben, you know what I'm saying? But I don't talk to Chavez as much. I don't talk to
being a father. Everybody
that much. You know, I ain't talked to Satep Ra in a minute. He in the chat now. What up, though? Tell.
Yeah, they still fighting the fight.
Yeah. Sutek, I ain't chopped it up with him. Ooh, it's been maybe 3 years. Ever since I left in 2023, I ain't talked to Sutek. That's the last time I talked.
Ain't left nowhere, man. You've been building that thing like you're supposed to build that thing, man. I can't wait till you finish that project. Is it your fault or my fault?
It's your fault. And I'm tired of saying it's your fault. I'm gonna get on it. I'm finna get on it. I'm gonna get right. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at it right now. I'll never hear back from you no more.
You know what? We cheating the world out of a spectacular project right now.
And I told you it's good. You just got to go through it and look what I did so we can move forward.
I looked through it. I didn't even. That's just the first part.
But you ain't tell me. Then you said you was gonna correct something. You said that was another thing. You said you was gonna correct something. And you were going to add a piece to another chapter. So that's what I said. Okay, well, he ain't done it yet. So, and I said, he ain't looked at it yet because he ain't said, well, I looked at it. I said, well.
That just was the beginning part. That wasn't not the meat of the nothing what you sent me.
Yeah, but that's just, I'm breaking it down in pieces to give to you. So you can see exactly what it looked like and what I did like far as with the edits. But you told me you was going to take something out and you was going to add. And it's been so long, I can't remember exactly what you said you wanted to add to the book.
You know what? That's a serious one right there. When I really sit back and really think about that, it's like night and day from that first one I did.
Yeah.
That's a serious one right there.
It need to be out. I like it, bro. I can't remember what you were saying you was adding, though. Like, I can't remember because it's been a while since you said, and I was like, yeah, you need to put that in there. You said, I'm going to add that in there, and then it was something you were saying along the lines that you wanted to take out. You wanted to take that part or something out of it. I said, well, all right, just take it out. You know what I'm saying? When you get ready to take it out, and when you get ready to add this piece, I can always just add whatever it is to it. He was like,
I want to triple check the sources because you know they're gonna.
Yeah, it was something with the triple checking with the sources.
I want to make sure all the sources match up with everything is. And then see a couple more finds then came out since then. It's a yeah, you got me right though.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, I wanted to get up here and show my support, man, because the smoke gonna come off of this. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're gonna dive right in on you.
It's all good. I'm up for it. I told him to go through my sources, go through and critique the video. You know, I'm built for it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good content for the channel too. And as long as they don't come off, you know, disrespectful, man, they gotta keep it. I think a lot of times people act that way because they really have fear of a legitimate conversation. You know what I'm saying? They have a real crispy conversation around the word black, around the foundation, you know, where we fit in. What is the outside African community fit in? Should we call? So let me ask you this. Let me put you on the hot seat. Because here's some of this the pushback. All right. They're saying that we're not African. When they say we're not African, I think they mean we're not continental Africans. And there should be a distinction between a continental African and an African that got enslaved and brought into America and is crystallized under ethnogenesis to form a whole new population, a whole new culture, okay, ethnogenesis on this particular side. They're saying they want that. So how do you feel about, here's my question. do you think us to be Africans? How do you explain it? Are we Africans? Right? What are we? What do you say? What's the difference for you? Or is it different?
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Damn. I done messed up some being. Being trying to come in here. Let's see.
You can't even get Bennett, man. You know what, man?
I can't get my thing right. You know, I ain't did this. I hadn't did. Hold on.
What?
Oh, I got it now. I got it. All right. What up, B? Hello?
I can't
B.
hear you.
What up, Sean?
That's Ben. That ain't me. That's Ben.
Yeah, we know that's Ben.
Yeah, we know that's Ben. You talking, but we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I ain't saying yet.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. What up, man? What up, Sean?
What's good?
What up? I want to answer the question.
No, you can't answer first. You got to go.
I know. I'm waiting.
Let Kofi go. Let save Ben for last. And then you go, Sean. Let me hear y'all answer. What y'all? Do I need to answer the question again?
Yeah, ask the question again.
The question is, the fight is this, that they saying we not African, right? We in America, we FBA, okay? Or you'll even hear African Americans say, like your family say, we not African. We in America. We got our own unique culture and all that. What is your stance on that? Is it a separation for you or not? How do you feel about it?
For me, it's no separation.
Okay.
Like, I'm African to the bone. Like when I look at my DNA test, even though I'm amalgamation, I have a small percentage of European DNA. I have very, very, very little, 0 point something or 1 point, I can't quite remember, of Native American, but I'm high percent of sub-Saharan African, right? And so I considered myself, you know what I'm saying, an African. You know, I don't consider myself an American. I know we have a lot of people say that they are, foundational Black American or they are American. I draw from Africa. I don't, but I don't disregard the things that we did here in America. I champion a lot of the things that we did here in America, but I'm African. I get my inspiration from Africa. So, I don't distinguish between the two, but I don't, but I do agree with what you're saying. There is a distinction between the two because we have our own, but you see that all through Africa. You know what I'm saying? Every ethnic group, there were 3,000 and some ethnic groups in Africa, and every ethnic group is different. Their culture is different. It's similar, but they have differences, right? And that's, no different than us. The people, the culture in West Africa is similar to the culture in East Africa. The East Africa culture is, but they're different. Same thing with us coming to America. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it again as me being an African first. That's where I draw from. I'm African first, and then I'm American second. I don't, say that I'm not American when I know that my ancestors helped build this country. You know what I'm saying? My ancestors contributed a lot to us, you know what I'm saying, in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? So I look at both of them, but I'm African first, I'm American second. Okay.
Thus the term African American.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. Where you at?
Yeah, I'm right here. So I concur with what Kofi said wholeheartedly. Our shared experience in America is what makes us slightly different. But the descendancy from our ancestors have specifically remained African until later admixtures, and you get these other groupings that will come into play. Imagine the point of where it wasn't admixture with natives, Native Americans, and Europeans, etc. That wasn't the history at first, we were segregated and we were forced to uh, continue that continuity of our Africanness, right? Even with slight admixtures and things like that, when you do get the mulatto, or if we want to use that term, or whatever the case may be. But you have that also on the continent. You have some West Africans, not a lot, but some who have admixture over there in those areas from the depths of the slave trade, and those Portuguese and Spanish and all them different European countries being in Africa and messing with people. But you can't. I'm not giving that up. I'm African first, and I know I'm African first because of my struggle. I know I'm African first because of what we endured. I know I'm African first because of what we overcame. If we didn't do any of that, we wouldn't be African.
Okay, Ben,
You,
you want me to go and you go last, or you want to go now? How you want to do that?
I can go now.
right. Let me hear you.
I think it's very embarrassing that as a society, we still don't know the difference between race and nationality.
Mhm.
I think that's really embarrassing. Because if you live in America, your nationality is American,
Mm-hmm.
right? The part that becomes murky for a lot of people is they made African American a race. So if you look at the Census Bureau, African American is a race. It's a race of people. They say African American / Black is a race. So when people say they're not African American, or they say they're not African, you know exactly what you're talking about. Are you saying you don't identify with being an American, like some of our greats in the past have advocated? And I understand why they advocated that, because if you don't get the rights and benefits of the citizenship, you don't feel like an American. Are you saying that your race is not African? So for those people that say that, I'll be like, well, what are you? Because although race is a social construct, we can use scientific tools to determine what your race should be, right? So if you take a DNA test and you're 90% African, your markers go back to the continent. Then what are you? Like, it's a legitimate question for people that say they're not African. Because me, for example, I always knew I was African because my father was African. So it's a little different for me. I could never say that I'm not African. But in researching my mother's history go back to Nigeria. So how could I say that I'm not an African? And I've had several American passports, so I could never say I'm not American. So in the true sense of the race and the nationality, I am an African American, but my race is what you would call African. So it's important to understand what people mean when they say that, because a lot of it, I mean, unless you have a, dual citizenship, you're not African by nationality, no. But by race is generally what people are talking about when they say, I'm not African. And my response to people that claim to be Black, claim to be African American, then what is your race if that is the direction you would like to go?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
She all right?
That
She all right?
wasn't
No,
That
it wasn't me.
That was-
There's nobody in this room but me.
Oh
I
man,
ain't know what that was.
my son upstairs. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
All right, you finished? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm done, bro.
Okay, so Man, so okay, there's a distinct difference between race and ethnicity. And we've been having these conversations for years, right? It's like you said, Ben. So we know race is a social construct, constructed during the periods, but 1700s or something like that, when they invented the word white people. So they invented white people and they invented black people. So that's not that, that's always been my conversation, right? But we when we got enslaved, we developed a unique ethnic group. There's hundreds of ethnic groups in Africa too. That's another mistake they got. Ben, you study this extensively, going back and forth to the continent. And I think the worst thing you can do is just say these are all one people. They're actually not. They got their own culture. There's different dynamics, different relationships, different language, different way to do everything.
That's right.
And the other day, Ben, we talked about the way you enunciate certain words, certain emphasis on one word, you can mess up the whole thing. And to a degree, African Americans do that too, like the word nigger, for instance. It's the way you would announce it, the way you pronounce it. I would know if you was coming from a position of hate, a position of love, right? Or you playing with it. It's just the way you announce it. And when you had made that statement about, hey man, we look at some of these. We was talking about what you call it? What is it called, Ben?
Well, the tone mark.
Yes, but you were saying it's a certain word.
The tone mark.
Correct. And so I was like, man, that you can't get rid of the African.
We still doing a lot of the same thing.
You can't escape it, right? And so then why not embrace it? So my point I want to say is, for me, I understand us to be a unique ethnic group that had an ethnogenesis in America, unique culture, the whole 9 yards, that we brought a lot of our culture with us and transformed it to this environment for survivability. And ain't nothing wrong with that. And as a matter of fact, the reason we say we African Americans is so that we can brush off the slavery part and re-educate ourselves and introduce ourselves back from where they stole us at. That don't mean that I'm trying to be that. That just means that all healthy humans should connect back to their most ancient of ancestors. It's an important thing. That's why science connects you back to the cosmos. That's human beings trying to figure out where they from. And so I think people who are struggling with an identity, they will struggle with the word Africa and African and what it actually means. They're struggling with that because they're trying to forge a whole new identity that's not even real. There's no indigenous black people in Americas, man. There's no indigenous black people in America. There's no traders, black traders that was here prior to Columbus and we mixed in. That's not true. So we're actually fighting an identity crisis, y'all. That's the point I want to make. So that's what it all breaks down to. So for me, I'm an African American, but an African American is somebody who understands their true history coming from Africa. You don't deny that. Only a slave would deny that. And a slave is a person who has forgotten based off of the thing that erased you. What erased you? Colonialism. Slavery erased your identity of understanding who you are and where you came from. I always thought, at least amongst the groups, y'all, that identifying with the continent of Africa, it gave you a certain amount of moxie. It gave you an up. Because you could kind of educate the people that was here with you, saying, look, man, we got this right here. I respect and honor my ancestors that lived and died in America and created this situation. I love them. But I also love my ancestors that was in Africa. And we should never be torn between the two. Right. It's a unique situation, man.
Right.
It's a position of love, and it's very unique. So that's what I like to say as an African American. We're in a unique situation.
I'm glad you brought the ethnicity piece into it, because that's another thing that people struggle with. So you got race, you got nationality, and you got ethnicity. And ethnicity is the social part of this thing, right? So let's say you're black, your race is African, but you grew up in Japan. You speak full Japanese. You have immersed yourself in Japan culture. Guess what your ethnicity is?
Japanese.
It's Japanese. That's what you know. That's what you grew up with. So your race is African. but your ethnicity and nationality may be Japanese. So people don't really think about these things because we don't look up the definitions of words. We just kind of throw them around because people think race and ethnicity are the same things, and they're not.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's not.
So I think that's those key terms right there: race, nationality, and ethnicity is the key to really educating people about what's going on. Because a lot of people think all three of those things are the exact same thing.
They're not. They're not.
Yep.
They not even close. like I have a sort of split ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with my mother, but I also grew up with my father. So I have continental African ethnicity value, and then I have African American ethnicity values. Because I grew up in Atlanta. So you know,
who on the panel got European values?
I don't know. We might carry.
So let's bring that into the frame. Let's say you're from
You don't know I hang with you.
or Nebraska, or North Dakota, South Dakota, where we're very low in population. Your ethnicity might be split too, depending on where where you grew up. If you grew up around a high population of white people, your ethnicity could be different from somebody that grew up in the South around mostly black people.
That's
if you
real.
grew up around the Amish and the Quakers, you're gonna be different from a brother that grew up in Alabama and Mississippi, and y'all both can be black. Y'all both can be black, and your nationality are Americans, but your ethnicities are different.
The type of food you eat might be different.
Yeah, they might look at fried chicken like, man, y'all always season it that much.
Yeah.
They might be a little confused.
Yeah,
Why y'all put so much butter in it? Why y'all put so much butter in your food?
The way you talk. Yeah, the way you talk.
Yeah, they not gonna get certain slang words.
Yeah. It's a trip, ain't it? Very, and that's why the education is needed, man. Ain't nobody running away from nothing. I just don't like the pure disrespect behind the issue. Like, we could talk, we could have great conversations about this, man. This is easy work for us. This ain't hard, man. And that other side, they don't want to talk, man. They don't want to come on, be a part of the panel, and have a good conversation, man. It always end up in a whole bunch of turmoil, and oh my goodness, man. I understand why, because when you marginalize people, we suffer from a lot of things. Education gap, that's what we struggle with. Y'all know that. Like, whenever we doing something extra, going in deep on subject matters, oh my goodness, we looking at people saying, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, like, it's another step to where you're trying to go to. It's not that simple. I mean, you remember hey Sean, we had a 5-year conversation with the only Egyptians, bro. you feel me, man?
Yeah, I don't think people understand. If y'all can hear me, okay. I think the disconnect was it within the methodology. And I think it's there because you have people that may go further than the other person, and then you have people that hit a wall, and they hit that wall because they're trying to confirm their bias, so they research it out of ignorance to stimulate that feeling of their bias.
That ain't research methodology, though.
No.
Yeah. That ain't.
Yeah, I think it's methodology is key because people research their biases when they don't know how to research.
Yeah.
You putting in Google, why are Americans not African? That's not research, bro.
No.
I want you to know that. That's not
And-
research.
And I've been saying this. I think, man, you know, we can get on here and we can talk about African culture and tradition and language. We can talk about the ancestors and what they did here in Americas and the Caribbean. We can talk about, you know, Native American culture and the FBA and differences between whatever. We can talk about the cosmos, religion, spirituality, whatever. I think there needs to be more conversations or more demonstrations on methodology. I think people will get it if we keep pushing. They probably won't get it right away, but I think if we stay consistent with, or whoever, just stay consistent with doing something, showing and demonstrating methodology. When researching, this is what you do, and not doing it just one time, but just continuous to do things so people can understand that it's not about what you're saying, Googling something. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, and even with sometimes people don't even know how to look at certain things, or how to approach researching certain things. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know how to approach it in that manner. So sometimes the only thing they do know is to put a prompt or type something in that's they already kind of know of, you know, that's leaning toward their bias. So they just, because they don't really know like where to start at, where they can be like at ground zero. You know what I'm saying? And understanding I'm gonna get something from both sides of the coin. I'm not gonna get something that feeds and tie into something that I want to believe. I'm gonna lay it out on both sides, and then I'll be able to come up, you know, with a sound decision on my own once all the evidence is laid out there on which way or the other, you know, I'm gonna gravitate toward too, because the information is out there on both sides. So that's why I say it's important. I've been saying that for a long time. We need to do shows on, you know, doing research methodology, or even doing some classes on research methodology. You know what I'm saying? Putting together some classes and showing people. And I don't think that it'll help some. I don't think it will help overall, but I think it will help some. What'd you say, Ben?
I was like, yeah, you'll get some people for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all books aren't created equal. How about that?
And that goes back
That's
to
a
the
fact.
yeah, and I agree with him. But that also goes back to research methodology. Like like I'll give you the point. I give you something that I do. Like I'll pick up a book, I'll buy a book, and the first thing I do before I even read the book, I'm reading the back of the book first. And what I mean by reading the back of the book first, I'm looking at the sources. And then I'm going through and I'm researching the sources. And that's going to give me an overall perspective on what I'm finna get into and what I'm finna read off the door before I even start reading the preface, the introduction, the forward, the dedicated forward, and getting into the chapters. So that's one method that I use, but that's what I'm saying. People don't understand research methodology. You know what I'm saying? And how to approach certain things, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or look at certain things, right? And believing everything, because, and everything that's put in the book ain't all, it doesn't mean because it's written, don't mean somebody publish a book, don't mean because it's published that it's the end all be all. It's the authority over something else. So you got to be able to understand how to approach the book, you know what I'm saying? How to apply research methodology and rigor, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that's why we'll regurgitate some. And I was like that in the beginning of my stages. When I first started off, I didn't know no Sean. I didn't know Ben. I didn't know no Unc. I didn't know nobody. All I know is I want to get into learning who I am. So I just started buying everything and started regurgitating everything because I was ignorant. Going back to the word that you mentioned earlier, I was ignorant. So I didn't understand how to approach and read a book. I didn't understand research methodology and rigor, you know what I'm saying, and consensus. And I didn't know nothing about none of this, you know what I'm saying? And once I was able to, you know what I'm saying, understand these things, you know what I'm saying, and how to use these tools, I was able to get bigger to siphon out all the pseudoism books that I had in the past, you know what I'm saying, and be careful about what I'm regurgitating, you know what I'm saying, because a lot of us, we just read some and just start regurgitating. We don't know if it's true or not. We don't know how they arrived to their conclusion or whatever. We just regurgitating something because it's put in the book. And we may like the person because we seen the person on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And that's not where it's at.
Yeah, if you pick up that book and you go to the back and it ain't got no references, I just put it back on the shelf, man. Or you know, some people do references as like footnotes through the chapter.
Right.
So I check that too.
Right, they do.
You know, but if you ain't got neither one, nah, bro, we ain't gonna.
You're gonna go and put it back, huh? You're gonna even spend your dollar.
Hey, you know, he had a book.
Yeah, the strength of your book is in its source.
All the reference was his picture in the back of the book.
Oh man.
Y'all ain't seen the Top Cats book. When y'all saying y'all ain't seen the Dan Calloway or Top Cats book. Man, if them ain't the worst written, man, all they got is a cover.
Common theme though, is that a common theme that the worst that the books that go against all of the research are so poorly written.
It's terrible.
You remember with that dude? I think his name was Floyd Williams, and Seti wrote the foreword.
Oh yeah.
What's the name of the book?
I think it was called Black Lotus.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah.
I think I bought that book. And I bought it on the strength of Seti. You know, I was a Seti fan back in the day.
Hey, go to your bookshelf, deposit that in file 13 so you can make room for a book that actually about something.
Yeah, I bought it on the strength of Seti, man.
Listen, reading that forward made my head hurt.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. I mean, but like that goes back to your point that the books that go against all of the research are just so poorly written. The punctuation, the spelling, did you turn all of that off and go to Word and just start writing? Like that's what I've been wondering. Like, did you just ignoring all them red lines that's on this page? Which one is it?
Yeah, boy, that was a real ignorant forward right there, boy.
Ooh, Do you think that is so everybody on this panel right now is well read, wide read, right? So wide read and well read. So we have read enough information and books to understand when you're writing historical nonfiction, how to build a book, how to present a book, how to write a book. You know what I'm saying? So me saying that is some of these people are not widely read and not well read at all. They don't read books. So they don't know how to build a book. They don't know how to write, you know what I'm saying, a book or what a historical nonfiction book needs in order for it to be in that genre, in that space, and to call it that. I don't think that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. These guys could be well read and read books, but I'm saying my opinion. I just think that they're not. Some people are just not well. I'm not, and I'm. This is just. I'm saying it's general. I'm not saying it's to any particular group. I'm not saying it's to any particular individual. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying I think that a lot of these people are just not well read, so it reflects in their writings. It does. It reflects. If you're not well read, it's gonna show in your writings. It's definitely gonna show.
Absolutely.
So here, all right, watch this. This gonna resonate with all y'all. It's 2026, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know how long we've been doing this?
A long time.
We could be doctors.
Long time.
Like seriously, we didn't been together so long and we done broke up, ain't talked to each other. Ben just started talking to me again. Man.
And I'm glad. I'm damn sure I'm glad. I swear I'm glad. If ain't nobody else, I'm playing.
Sean, tell Ben to call me. I've been telling that for months. Ben still, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then we talked about it and we bust out laughing. It was crazy. I ain't gonna tell you what but it was just crazy, yo. But that's how long we've been together, right? And this is what people don't know about us, yo. We all started from humble pseudo beginnings.
That's right.
We all started getting it wrong. That's the craziest thing about this. And we're trying to show people value and stand on the shoulders of somebody. That's not saying, yo, eat at my feet. You know, as you say, I'm sitting at the feet of the master teacher. That ain't what we're saying. We saying we done made enough mistakes, right? We done got enough things right and wrong to where you don't gotta go through all that. You can actually move the thing forward by looking at what we got, what we did, how we did it, and continue the process. It's one movement. And that's how we, as people living in America, whatever you want to call yourself, right? That's what makes us strong. You cannot remake stuff. It doesn't make sense. If you've already accomplished it, you take it, you look at it, and you move the thing forward. Y'all don't gotta go through all. Y'all ain't gotta buy a book with no sources in the back. We done went through that.
We already did that.
Oh shit.
We did that, Sean. Hey, Sean, you wrote a book and left out the pages one time. Didn't he do that? What happened, Sean?
Yeah. Page numbers.
Page numbers. Mistake. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, bro. Listen to what I'm saying, man. Listen, all this is important to our development on why where we at and why we such a beacon, whether they love, hate us, or I like this part of it. I like the pseudo killer. No, I like it, whatever. What I'm saying is you got years of understanding and wisdom in front of you. Take advantage of it so you ain't buying no book without no sources and you ain't running around here calling yourself a Native American. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got to go through that. No, we did it already. I could have sworn we walked over here. I could take you back 20 years ago, and I swear this place was called Utlah, and we walked over here. We walked over here. I really said that out my mouth. Oh, nah, man. It's y'all, man. Come on, man. We didn't, and I'm gonna keep fighting. I know y'all gonna keep fighting, but it is what it is, yo. We set standards in all different departments, and I think that's important, man, for the community to look up. And we're ready for the conversation because we understand the conversation. I just want to put that there.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. To build off your point, next month, February 2026, the Mosley Warrior Clan turns 8 years old.
Big up to the Mossy.
We gotta do a show, man. We gotta do a show. We gotta do a show, man. We definitely gotta do a show. Ain't no, we gotta.
Countless books, articles. Kofi got a podcast, a magazine. I got a podcast, travels to Africa. Sean got books, and you working on another book, Brother Unc, from what I hear.
Yeah, if he can ever do right, if he can do right, if he can do right, man. I'd have had his manuscript being. I know I'd have had his manuscript at least 8 months. I know at least 8 months.
Hold on. But Kofi, everybody ain't gonna write no book in no weekend like you, man.
I ain't write no book in no weekend.
And now I've been working on that book for 2 years. And stopped writing.
I did the same thing. That my last book, African Spirituality for the African Diaspora, I wrote it in 2 years. I took my time with it. I wrote, stopped writing, came back to it, traveled to Africa, came back. It's a process, man. It's a process. That was my baby. That's my magnum opus, so to speak, for the community. So I wanted to take my time with it. I wanted to go through certain rituals. I wanted to go to the continent. It was so much I wanted to put into that book. And then I remember Asar told me something that made me wrap up the book. He was like, you never really stop writing the book. Well, he said, you never are really finished with the book. You just stop writing. Because I was finding stuff along the journey. I wanted to put it back in the book. I had to cut it off. All right. That's
Yeah, you
enough
gotta know when
pages.
to stop. You gotta know when to stop. for
Yeah,
real.
you definitely
That's
gotta
enough
know when to stop.
pages. That's enough of this. I got to stop. I can't put no more in this chapter. You know, you just gotta, you know, conclude the book, write the conclusion, conclude the book. But
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, I was really taking my time with it, man. My first book, I got that out fast, but the second book, I really took my time, you know. So I understand, I understand you taking your time, brother. You know, Kofi just want to get it completed, man. That's
He
all.
is
Kofi,
his
Nah,
love.
he ain't the only one though. Nahisi listening, and I know you I know you listening somewhere, Nahisi. You've been sitting on the book for 4.5 years.
Oh yeah, that's the
now
one.
the easy different now. The easy different. I ain't gonna take up for the easy. I'm not, because boy, we've been waiting on that book. I know what it was. I know what it was. The Easy got married and said, "The hell with that book." You know?
Yeah, he got make it. That what you think what happened?
Hell yeah, that's what I think would happen. I know how I feel. You get married, boy, you ain't thinking about that shit.
Oh man, yeah, the easy on it.
Yeah, then it's hard to come back. It's hard to come back. You know, you come back to the book, you be like, all your little thoughts, everything. You be like, damn, where was I going with this chapter?
Information and change.
Yeah, what was I thinking about saying with this particular source? Like, you forgot everything. You don't know how to get yourself back on track.
Yeah, easy, bro.
You know, if we get it, we get it at this point. That's how we get it. Hey, it's like the Chronic. It's like the Chronic album that Dr. Dre was supposed to put out.
Chronic 2.
No, yeah. Detox. That's what it is. Detox.
Yeah.
Ain't getting
the last one out.
We ain't getting it. If we get it, we get it.
Yeah, we get it. No, I'm gonna definitely finish this project right here. I'm looking through the notes right here. This is serious right here.
It's good too, man. It's good.
What's the title? If you want to let us know the title.
It's just a chronology of human evolution. Part 2, a need to understand atheism. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's really your third book, though.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, in this particular series right here, kind of refine some of the things I was saying. It's just better. It's way better. I don't know if I can say it that way, but
it's just the growth.
Yeah, this the book is over 350 pages, ain't it?
No.
Where that book at?
Man, bro, I got.
You know what I'm talking about, Where the book at?
I know.
Hold on.
And
you got a whole other book.
That's actually
yes, it's finished.
Yeah, that's actually finished. But man,
But when you gonna put that one out? Oh, so now you
he got mad. He got mad at me. And said in the community and said F the book. That was when he was rebelling.
So now you doing the Kofi because Kofi we ain't gonna slide past you either. Where did ancient Egyptian book at, Kofi?
The raw document.
Yeah. The raw document.
I still got this finished.
When you put it out?
Oh, they all got books they ain't put out. You put it on me.
I finished all my stuff. I finished all my books.
The raw document. I had to go back and change some stuff. If I ever put the raw document out, I would have to go back and change a lot of stuff, man. I wouldn't even know where to start at, man, with that thing, man.
See, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. When you leave it for so long, but now, you know.
I ain't fooling with it.
What?
Hey, this is the crazy thing. Wrote a whole article about Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Article was fine, and then said he was gonna put the book out. And the book didn't go.
I ain't put it out, man. I wasn't comfortable. I was finished with it too. I wasn't comfortable with it, man. I said I wanted to change some stuff, and then we got to them. Then when we got the writing and the volumes and writing other stuff, man. I ain't even, man. put that book on the back burner, and it done got to be so long now, man. Shoot, that book I wrote that book in. Was I still in
About 8
Hattiesburg?
years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been about that long. It's been about that long. Yep, and then
I'm gonna throw one out there. Satepara got a book. Mm.
need to put it
No.
out. Need to put it out.
Dewey.
Yeah,
He was working on something for a long time when we was writing.
yeah, I know
He
it.
got he just stopped.
Oh man.
It's an economic book too, and he act like we don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I ain't I'm not the economics guy. Not the and we don't have another economic guy after Claude Anderson. That was our last
Exactly.
economics guy that was putting out literature. We got plenty of people get online and and talk economics, but that put it in book form is Powernomics. That's all I know. I don't know nobody else.
Claude, he should have stayed right there. He moved over to history where he just
No.
Yeah.
Claude Anderson wrote history books.
man, he moved. He started. Oh man, he started the whole FBA fight.
No.
He did, didn't he, Sean? Am I making it up, Sean?
You
He won
talking
on
about Claude Anderson?
Claude Anderson.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the black.
Yeah, because he vetting them, all of them came up with something, and then Tariq came up with something, and then I mean it was brewing. Claude's argument is that he feeling all sides, so we need the individual. Like he trying to find some way to get what chapter is it where he talk about the one vote and Powernomics, but dang it, I had to go back and read that book again. It ain't even a tough read. But some of the things that he wrote in that book can be implemented through the ideology of FBA ADOS.
I didn't know that. Y'all just put me up
Yeah.
on something.
I didn't know Claude
If you go back
Anderson.
listen to his lectures in his book, mhm.
Yep. Yep.
No.
Yeah, he been out there saying some strange things, knowing he know better.
Go
Super
back
wild.
to economics, Elder. Go back to economics.
He dove in the pool, boy. You be like, what?
Go back. I hate when I see, people that are known for something, they proficient in something,
Mm-hmm.
but that isn't bringing them what they're seeking, whether that be notoriety or money or whatever. And then they dive in another lane and they're just not prepared at all. Like a person that does that frequently is Dr. Umar.
What? Oh God, man.
If you don't stick with psychology, he be trying to come over to that Orisha. I'd be like, turn it off. Turn it off. The whole video. Stop. Please.
I don't pay no attention.
I see little clips on Instagram and they be like, what do you say? Old storm from the Orishas. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Please.
He make it sound good. That's why everybody be listening, because he so make it sound good. He a good talker. I ain't good talker. I'll tell you that. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Terrible.
Shoot. Before I jump off here, Unc, what you using, Unc, for your mirror? You see, how the hell you get that to do? Your damn camera. Every time you move, you move.
I know. I'm trying to get it out of the set, and I can't.
Yeah.
I like it though. I've been noticing you move, that mother move wherever you move.
If you look too far, it should be all the way over. You be like, come on, man. I ain't trying to do all that.
That shit will follow you around the house.
Yeah,
around
you
the house. God,
you
damn.
trying to figure out how to stop.
I'm trying to figure out how to stop me. I can't just man. At this point, it's madness.
Oh shit! I thought you. I'm gonna tell you how you doing. I like that. I about to get me something like that. Shoot, I
But
moved to the side.
be careful what you look at, boy. You like,
Yeah.
look at your wife. She over in the corner. You be like, oh, I got a clothes. You be like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh.
Stuff. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Hey, pick up your Slim Bay too, man. In that chat right there, man. Pick up the Slim Bay. Official pseudo killer right there. Pan-African too. Prolific with the said subject matter. Yeah, y'all gotta interview him on here one day for real. Just had that talk with him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tap into him.
Tap into him. Prolific, man.
Yeah.
For real. Yep.
But
Sure.
y'all, I'm finna get off of him, man.
Yeah. I'm glad you did that, man. I'm glad Ben and Sean popped up, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate that, man. A great conversation, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
We-
taking that time.
we
You
doing-
popped up out of nowhere with this.
Ben,
though,
you
Cole.
still overseas hooping?
Yeah, Ben still. Yeah, you ain't back.
Yeah,
You been?
I'm flying
Come back
back
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, he
Flying
come
back
back tomorrow.
with the championship.
That's right. Y'all won a trophy. Look at him. I knew he was gonna say that shit.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
Golden said he gonna bust your ass when you get
Yeah,
back.
I told him I'm gonna bust his ass. I done told him now. I don't
Hey,
care
man.
how many games he done played.
Hey, man.
Oh, y'all play basketball?
Hey,
Y'all
I ain't played him yet. Me and Sean and Chavis done played together, but I ain't played
Hey,
Sean.
man.
I mean, I ain't played.
y'all was
James.
playing crazy foul ball. Y'all wasn't playing with them playing.
hey, man.
Nah, that was Chavis, bro. Chavis was playing football on the basketball court. I'm like, why is his head down and he running toward us?
Hey, man, what did we just say about people that get outside of their lane? Kofi, stay in your books producing lane.
Yeah, basketball ain't
Chavis
way.
hey man, he's the little man syndrome, man. He got the little man syndrome.
Can he dribble? Can't dribble, can he?
Yeah, he
I
can
don't
dribble a
care if
little
he
bit.
can.
Chavis got, I'm gonna tell you, he played like the dude in the hood that come around and play pickup when he bored. So when everybody else out there, he the last one to the court. I got next. That's
Yeah.
Chavis. Chavis is the dude who say I got next with all the good people already playing.
Yeah.
Now he gonna argue with me up and down about this.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna get a chance to play him. If I don't beat him, I'm gonna put my son on him. My son about this high. My son damn near 6'5", so I put my son.
Your
on
son
him.
lost to you, so I'm not really worried about your son either.
What? What happened?
Because your
Shoot.
son obviously can't use his size.
Hey, Ben a ringer though, man. Ben a ringer, yo. He didn't play college basketball. What
Yeah,
he play,
I know.
Ben? He a ringer, yo. Didn't he play some semi-pro? Didn't you, Ben? You're a ringer, Ben.
I'm
You don't-
playing pro right now in the Dominican Republic.
you're a ringer, bro. You don't even count.
I'm trying to tell these people, Unc has seen me do little stuff with basketball. I went and helped him with his basketball team. Unc knows.
Yeah,
You
sure.
the one with the king hat that don't know. But you keep poking this
I'm
bear.
gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. That way, I'm gonna find out.
Hey, Kofi, ask him what happened when he was vegan trying to play basketball. Yo, it's the funniest story.
They probably were pushing him all over the place.
Couldn't figure out where the injury was coming from.
He called me every day.
Figure it out.
My toenail fell off. What's going on?
Man, my shoulder hurt.
My tooth chipped. I was like, what?
I said, bro, I'm hurting. I am hurting trying to do this vegan thing and play basketball. It is hurting.
People cuss that damn doctor, save me out. Yo, that was funny.
The last straw, my damn wisdom tooth rotted from the inside out. I said, that's it. I'm going back to chicken.
Yeah, for sure. That's that one I left V. That's when I went straight back to chicken, man.
That's it.
But
I'm done.
Yeah.
But that's going back to what you said. Start with slow beginnings. I was trying to follow Dr. Sabi.
Crazy.
No,
That's funny, bro. I remember that was it. That was funny, bro.
No, thank you.
Yeah, my daughter went and graduated from college and all that. Use them damn moves you gave us, yo. That shit crazy.
Basketball move.
Yeah, yo, he got this move where
I
you
showed a few things.
where you kind of it's a blow by, but you kind of you come down, you slow down, and then the move is you gotta punch through with your hand, right? You punch through.
They call it a hezzy now.
Yeah, they
When I
call it
was
hezzy.
doing it's just called blow by, but they call it a hezzy now.
But when you punch your hand through, you got the advantage. You punch through, and then you bring it all. Man, she was lightning with that. I mean, I said, here it come. Dude, she's gone. Pull up, Bob. Yeah, she was going 50 with that.
Yeah.
I was like, they can't stop it, yo. I was like, that is ridiculous. Yeah, that's a nice move because you slow down, it's crazy. You gotta be quick to do it though. But once you punch through, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave her that when she was little. She was about what? About 13, 14, 13. Yep, she might have been 13 then.
Yeah.
13.
Okay.
Yeah, that was about it. Yep. Yeah, I actually came and worked with my team. Yep. I had a serious team too.
For sure. What was the age?
Huh?
What was the age?
Oh yeah, the press. Yeah, put in the press. Yeah, he came and implemented the press break. Man, I think we ain't lose no games that season, bro. We ain't lose. No, we ain't lose. Yeah, we won the championship. Yeah, he came in and worked with it, yo. Yeah, I swear, I remember that. That was serious. I said, yo, you put the press break in. What was it? The 1-2? What was it?
The two guards screen for each other.
Right. Oh, the press break. Boy, I used that all.
Center go middle.
Power
forward down the other side. You're gonna get layups.
I used that. You know, I used that all the way up to AAU till last year, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's my press breaker from high school. It just works.
The elbow, boom, oh man, yeah, it worked. It's crazy work. Yeah. All right, man, Kofi. I don't want to keep you. I know I know you gotta get about that, man. Tell your wife I said hi. I said what's up and your son, man.
For sure, I will do, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all, man. Y'all have a good one, man, and peace to everybody, man.
You gotta end the show.
We out here. That's it. I'm finna end.
Okay, go ahead.
Sean